La 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 la. Booyah! Microphone's working. Ba 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 ba. Ba 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 ba. Hey everyone, thanks so much for being in, for tuning in early. We are here and ready to go, right on time as always. I'm very, very punctual. I don't like not being on time. So, thanks for tuning in. It's very nice of you to be here on time also. And I have a few videos ready for you, including a video that made me cry of Colorado cops killing a young man while he's apologizing to them, because this is the horrific United States that we currently live in. So, And I have a video about a Breonna Taylor protest in Kentucky, and a video also about governors quarantining travelers from out of state. Our state being one of the big, Washington state, the state I am from, being one of the big states that's being quarantined by numerous other governors. But they're saying is that if you go to travel to their state, is it? I oh wow. Okay, so in the middle square, let's see. Okay. Uh, that looks like the waterfront or something, doesn't it? Oh, Lake Union, nice. So that's Lake Union in downtown Seattle. Downtown Seattle is very beautiful. There's a giant lake on one side of downtown Seattle, and there's well, there's actually two giant lakes, but one feeds into the other. And then there's the Puget Sound, where we have sharks and killer whales and seals and otters and all kinds of amazing life. But this is Lake Union. This is the waterfront there. You can see it's a beautiful day in downtown Seattle. It doesn't get much prettier than that. It's about almost 80 degrees, which is just too hot for me. But I bet those guys are loving it. Let's see. And that looks like a nice crowd that they have assembled there. As you can see, the protest is not going away, regardless of what the media is telling you in their hopes and dreams for the future of them not having to cover a protest, because they fucking hate us. They hate protesters. They hate anybody who speaks out, because they know that they're part of what the people are speaking out against consistently. Let's see. So, let's see. I have numerous videos, as I was saying. I also have a video about sheriffs saying that they're not going to be enforcing Governor Inslee mandatory mask wearing order. Because he really doesn't have that power. He can't just go, oh, this is the law now. This is the new normal. It's not up to you, Governor. You don't have that kind of power as much as you wish you did. And I also have a couple of dabs ready here and there if anybody wants to have a puff here in the very near upcoming future. Hello, everyone. So, let's see. I need to talk to Craig. Okay, so I have a video again about Breonna Taylor protest. And in the middle square there, what you see is Louisville, Kentucky, and that's what the protesters there are a lot about, is the Breonna Taylor um, killing, murder by police, who were serving a no-knock warrant and fired into her home wildly, killing her. Um, and one of the police officers has been fired. The protesters, they surrounded the police department today. I believe it was the police department, and said that they wanted, they wanted, what was it they wanted? Oh, they wanted the man charged, and they want the other two officers involved fired and charged also. Because there's 3 people. And it was a no-knock warrant, again, that they were serving. The cops went in unannounced, and the person on the warrant who they were looking for, right? They were supposed to be looking for this person. The person on the warrant that allowed them to kick in the front door with no notice in America, the person on the warrant was already in police custody. So they went down there to hassle these people for no reason whatsoever and wound up murdering Breonna Taylor. And again, this is the America that we live in today. And we can do better. And anyone who doesn't think that the people deserve better, there's something seriously wrong with you. Because I've talked about the people deserving better again and again and again. And it's never been about me. It's always been about the people. The people deserve better. This is the 21st century, okay? I don't want everybody to have flying cars and some fucking pie in the sky bullshit that's meaningless. I want people simply to live their lives without having a police state government, an over-intrusive, heavily armed, comply or die police state breathing down their necks. You know, it's just not, it's no way for anyone to live. It's no way it's no way for the land of the free to have become, you know? So I have to, you know, I keep thinking that, I gotta have a break. You know, this is getting to me. I can't do it. I gotta have a break. But the truth is I want to be here. I want to be, you know, part of this. You know, I want the voice of reason that I believe that I have, you know, being heard. And the voice of the people, because I always stand with the people, and it doesn't matter which side they're on. Those things are imaginary. I don't see right and left. I see Americans in the street. And if you buy into this right-left thing, especially when it's Americans that are in the street, you're buying into it a whole lot more than you think. So, because I don't buy into it at all, and as you've seen here on this live call-in show, I don't understand why are they right-wing protesters? What makes them right-wing protesters? Because they're Americans in the street. Okay. So let's see. I will show you the protest, the Breonna Taylor protest here in Louisville, Kentucky, because I need to talk to Craig about something real quick. See if he can adjust it for me. And let's see. So I'm gonna play that clip for you, and I will be right back.
So as lawmakers on Capitol Hill work on police reform legislation, calls are growing to look into deaths that may have been overlooked. Colorado Governor Jared Polis says he's looking into the death of Elijah McClain. The 23-year-old died after officers placed him in a chokehold last August. Now, this announcement comes after more than 2 million people signed a petition demanding charges in McClain's death. He was taken into custody as he was heading home from a store. Body camera footage was released from his arrest, and we want to warn you the footage may be difficult to watch.
Relax, just relax. I'm here. My name is Elijah McClain. That's all. Way to use karate. That's all I was doing. I was just going home. I'm at your very different.
McLean was heading home from a store when Aurora police say they got a call of a suspicious person wearing a mask. McLean's family says he wore one because he was anemic and was often cold. The officers accused McLean of reaching for a gun, and that's when they put him in a controversial hold while paramedics injected him with ketamine. The 23-year-old went into cardiac arrest and died 6 days later. All of the body camera video fell off during the struggle, but you can hear an officer admit that McLean did nothing wrong before his arrest. Here's McLean's mother tearfully speaking to Good Morning America earlier today.
We can blame somebody else, we can blame ourselves, but Elijah is who we're all trying to get to be.
District Attorney Dave Young told GMA he would only reopen the case if there's something new that's relevant to the investigation. Aurora police have since banned the use of a chokehold, and the city is also considering an ordinance that would ban it. The coroner has not determined how McLean died and wouldn't rule out a homicide. Hundreds of people gathering in Kentucky's capital today calling for action following the death of Breonna Taylor. It's been months since police shot and killed the 27-year-old EMT in her own home. So far, no charges have been filed. One of the officers who executed that no-knock warrant that led to Taylor's death was recently fired. But demonstrators say that's not enough. They're demanding charges and for the 2 other officers involved to also be fired.
Arrest the cop! 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 What do we want? Justice! Do we want it? Now! What do we want? Justice! Do we want it? Now!
Peaceful demonstrations.
Dang it. Sorry, I clicked on that too early. And I have another video about Elijah from Colorado, the young man that was killed, and I will play that for you in a little bit because it's a very powerful video, and I really want you to see it. Okay. So let's see. We have Seattle is packing them in down by the lake, which is nice. It's a nice day to be down by the lake. It's always a nice day to be down by the lake, but today would be especially nice to be down by the lake. It looks like Portland is going to have another night out in the park and walk about, no doubt. The protesters in Seattle have been on the move all day long, as a matter of fact. So, all right. So, if anyone would like to call, the telephone number is 805-669-6397, 805-669-6397, and I am just taking it easy. Like I said, I got plenty of videos prepared for you guys so we can have a discussion about masks or the police killing people, hurting people, extorting money from people, and tell me how it's the land of the free and that's the way it has to be. Because we have to have cops who do nothing but extort money from people and hurt people and ruin people's lives day in, day out. Because they can. Right? We need that. We can't defund that. Let's see. In New York, what is happening? Oh my God, they are playing music on the streets in New York. We cannot have this, people. This is unacceptable. Let's see. And in Seattle, it looks like, again, that is down by the lake. It is a beautiful day in Seattle, clearly, and those people are not social distancing at all. Tomorrow, it will be mandatory for every single one of them to be wearing a mask. Seattle seems to have that down already, though. Actually, most of the protests all seem to have the mask thing down. Although where were we watching last night? Columbus? Columbus, was that where they were challenging the cops? That was so funny. Like, protester in Columbus last night was like, he was like, here, let me make it easy for you, what you're used to. And he turns his back. Here, I'll pretend that I'm running away so you can feel more comfortable. That was hilarious. He was not wearing a mask. Is it safe to be playing a trumpet outdoors in the time of plague? I need to know. Inquiring minds want to know. Oh, there's Columbus. Speak of the devil. Yeah, they were having a pretty good time in Columbus last night, and they were not, I don't think most of them had masks on in Columbus. Louisville, looks like people aren't wearing masks. But they are in the street, and it is a beautiful thing, and I am so glad to see it continue yet another day. Aren't you? Aren't you happy about it? I couldn't be more happy about it. I want it to go on until these people are satisfied. 100%. That's how long I want these protests to go on for. You don't get who Don Lemon is at all, okay? Don Lemon does not want the police funded. Is that what you believe? I have a video right here, Don Lemon, sucking cop, talking about, I don't want to see the police defunded. I don't want that. When I call the police, I want them to show up. In other words, he's making clear, he's signaling to the police whose side he's on. Okay? Don Lemon wants to make clear whose side he's on. And so am I. And it ain't the same fucking side as Don Lemon, you stupid piece of garbage. Barry. But which side are you on, Barry? The same side as Don Lemon? The police state side? I bet you are. That's what it sounds like. And you're the only one who's unaware of it. Here, should we play the clip now? I have it right here. Don Lemon, suck a cop. You want me to play that for you, Barry? I got it. I got it ready to go just for you, bud. I don't want the police defunded. When I call them, I want them to call. I want them to come. Because I'm on their side. That's who Don Lemon is, Barry. So we're clear. And you stand on his side. So we're clear. And Bill Maher. So we're clear. And you know how horrible Bill Maher is? Bill Maher is fucking horrible, Barry. You choose to stand with him instead of me and the people. Good choice, Barry. Good plan, bro. It's a beautiful day in Seattle hood. And everywhere else it looks pretty nice too. Let's see. It's a little warm in here. This room gets all the afternoon sun. So Barry's right about Don Lemon. Don Lemon. What? Can you not hear the words coming out of my mouth? Don Lemon stands on the side of the police state. Anyone who thinks anything else is a fucking idiot. Don Lemon wants Donald Trump reelected. Anyone who thinks anything else is a fucking idiot. Okay? Don Lemon wants Donald Trump reelected as much as the most right-wing nut job that ever lived. That's incredibly obvious. Yes. And whose side does Bill Maher stand on? And whose side are you standing? He stands with the police state, Bill Maher. And who else? And who else does he stand with? Barry. And that's who you stand with, Barry. The police state. And the other part of it that you hate so much, Barry. Instead of the people dancing in the street. Instead of the people standing up against the police state. Oh yeah, that's the PSYOP. The people standing up against the police state is a PSYOP. Oh man. Right, it's a PSYOP. You guys know so much. You guys are so much smarter than me. Okay, so let's see. It's gonna be a long night for the protesters, as far as I can tell. It's a beautiful evening in Portland, which means there's just gonna be so many people out in the street because it's so much nicer to be outside than it is to be inside on an evening like tonight. So. And it's the right thing to do. And Portland is very, community-minded. Very anti-police state-minded. They have, at the Portland State Fair, Oregon State Fair in Portland, they judge growing marijuana plants. You bring in your flowering marijuana plants, and they judge them like they would roses or, a pumpkin. It's awesome, right? Those are the kind of plants I want to grow. Pretty enough to be at the state fair one of these days. I would like to do that. I really would, one of these days. That would be so cool. Okay, let's see, if everybody wore a mask, and let's see, we have a video about that, about wearing a mask. Let's see, hold on. Let's see, you want to see the one about the sheriffs not enforcing the mask law? Or, no, we'll just do this other one here, hold on. Wait a minute, which one did I do already? Aha, Brianna, okay. Let's see, there we go.
Thank you, Tom. And you heard Tom mention there the masks. They're not mandatory everywhere, of course, including some of the states where they're seeing that rapid increase in cases tonight. Some are now arguing those masks infringe on their rights. In fact, one city councilor using George Floyd's words, "I can't breathe," while he was talking about masks. Tonight, he's now apologizing, calling it insensitive. Here's Victor Oquendo.
With the virus spreading like wildfire, a battle is raging over one of the key tools used to fight it. Face masks. Starting today in Palm Beach County, Florida, masks are mandatory, but the backlash was swift.
The fact of the matter is, it's our bodies, it's our choice whether we're going to wear them, not wear them. You guys are overstepping your boundaries 100%.
It is a scamdemic.
California now requiring masks in public after heated anti-mask protests like this one in Orange County.
Are you going to allow the government to tell you you have to wear a mask?
And in Arizona, where hospitals are treating a record number of COVID patients, a protest against the new mask rule in Scottsdale.
I can't breathe. I can't breathe.
This councilman sparking outrage after he appeared to mock the final words of George Floyd and Eric Garner. The governor calling it despicable, the councilman later apologizing. But doctors are urging Americans to use masks, especially when social distancing isn't possible.
Yeah, masks are an absolutely critical component to really ending this pandemic.
And more people appeared to be wearing them. A new ABC News Ipsos poll shows 89% of Americans who left their home in the last week say they've worn a face covering, compared to 55% in early April. But after scenes like these played out across the country, the challenge is getting guests to follow the rules, like at this Miami Beach hotel.
We're constantly trying to get everybody to wear a mask. It's not easy.
It hasn't been easy to get people to wear a mask?
No, they're not interested.
For much of the country, a patchwork of rules. Just 18 states now require masks, at least for businesses. A new model from the University of Washington suggests that some 33,000 lives could be saved by October 1st if nearly everyone wears a mask. With no statewide mask order in place, it's up to local leaders. And just this afternoon, the city of Miami passed an emergency order requiring masks in public at all times. If you don't wear one, you could face a fine up to $500. David?
All right, Victor Oquendo again tonight. Thank you, Victor. Meanwhile, President Trump is traveling to another battleground tonight as dozens of members of his own campaign staff are now in quarantine after his rally in Tulsa. After Tulsa, several staff members testing positive. And here's Mary Bruce.
President Trump in battleground Wisconsin today, eager to turn the page from the coronavirus, even as cases are surging.
We've done an incredible, historic job.
But his rival Joe Biden today warning Trump can't ignore the reality of this pandemic.
We're going to be dealing with this for a long time. Trump can't wish it away. He can't bend it to meet his political wishes. There are no miracles coming.
The former vice president ripped into Trump for complaining that more testing reveals a higher infection rate.
Here's what I say. Testing is a double-edged sword. He thinks that finding out that more Americans are sick will make him look bad. That's what he's worried about. He's worried about looking bad.
Biden using his harshest language yet.
He's like a child who can't believe this has happened to him. All his whining and self-pity. Well, this pandemic didn't happen to him. It happened to all of us. And his job isn't to whine about it. His job is to do something about it, to lead.
Trump is facing a health crisis and also an economic one. He has promised a third round of stimulus to help Americans through, but no plan yet. And today, new questions about how his administration handled the last round of payments. The Government Accountability Office reporting the Treasury Department sent checks to more than 1 million dead people, $1.4 billion misspent. People like Eleanor Burns, who died more than a year ago, but still received money. Her son, Jim, has been trying to send it back.
The government still has not cashed the check yet.
The president's handling of the pandemic is taking a toll on him politically. Biden leads in one poll after another, including a new one showing him up 14 points nationally. And tonight, campaign sources tell us that staffers and volunteers who were at the president's Tulsa rally over the weekend are now working remotely, dozens of them now in quarantine. This, of course, is on top of the dozens of Secret Service personnel who were at that rally who are also quarantining. The president, though, had promised that rally would be safe. David?
Mary Bruce reporting in tonight. Mary, thank you.
Okay, so let's see. There is again just a lot of people down by the Lake Union in Seattle, and that is a beautiful thing. It's a beautiful lake. It's a beautiful city, and I love the people in Seattle. I've always loved the people in Seattle. I love people. I've always hated the police state. Okay, from day one. Okay, so it's a no-brainer, so, okay, I'm buying into the PSYOP, right? I'm buying into the PSYOP. Which what? The PSYOP is just to get you to choose sides, to get you and what? You're not supposed to choose, you're supposed to not choose whether you stand with the police state or not. You know, I made that decision a long, long time ago, and the police state has not been good to me, and I don't want it to be hard on other people. I don't want other people's lives fucked by the police state, and we see it happen day in day out. I have this video of this beautiful young man, Elijah, right? And he's walking home from the store, and the police kill him. And he's apologizing to them, and he's not doing anything wrong, and he's apologizing to them while they're murdering him. It's horror. It's horrific that that's the country we live in. And yeah, it's this big psyop, right? It's this big psyop, is that right? This big psyop, and I'm just buying into the psyop by choosing not to stand with the police. Is that right? Well, then I guess I bought into the psyop when I was 15 years old, choosing not to stand with the police, and pretty much every fucking day since then. Okay? Because they've done nothing for my life. And again, I grew up with cops. I know, I know what cops are like. They've done nothing for my life. Oh yeah, they let me go on a ticket here and there. Big fucking deal. That's not doing something for you. If they let you go with a warning, that warning is to make sure you understand who the boss of you is. And it ain't you. And if we catch you again, we're going to have to really explain it to you so that there won't be any misunderstanding next time. Got it? We're watching you. Okay? Last warning. That's not what America is supposed to be. Right? And yeah, I'm buying into the psyop. That's what's happening. Well, I guess like I said, I guess I bought into it a long, long time ago. Probably before I was 15. Probably when I was hanging out with the cops, and they were being dicks to me when I was 12 and 10 and 9 years old. Trying to show me who the boss of me was then. And they couldn't do it then. And they haven't done it since then. Since I was 9, 10 years old. So it's easy to pick a side. There isn't even a question of picking a side. And again, it's not a matter of the psyop, right? Because was it the psyop in Lansing, Michigan, when the protesters took over the Capitol building? Was that a psyop too? And I chose sides then, which wasn't to stand with the police state. It was to stand with the proud American protesters, the brave American protesters who could have had their lives ruined by a comply or die police state. Yeah, I guess I was what? I'm buying into the psyop then too? No. I buy into the ideal of freedom. And the ideal that this government, that we can do better than what we have now. And I know that's a bunch of bullshit, that there's no way this government's ever going to give up any power, that we can't really do better. I know why. I mean, again, I'm the one buying into the psyop, but you guys are the ones who stand divide. I say stand with the Americans. Don't stand with the police state. And I'm the one buying into the psyop. You guys can't fucking stand with the people. You can't see the fucking divide and conquer programming that's never ending, and move beyond it just this once to stand for freedom, right? To stand up against the police state, like you all talk about, is so important. Just this once. You can't find it in you. It's sad. But it's me who buys into the PSYOP. It's me. It's me who buys into the divisive programming, right? It's me who buys into the fear, right? Is that right? Because it doesn't sound like it. Doesn't sound like I'm the one saying, you know, oh, we have to stand with the police state, or the purge is gonna happen. We've heard that from multiple callers here. And again, this is the programming run amok in your mind. And then you look at me and tell me I'm buying into the PSYOP. Is that right? Is it correct? Am I understand? Am I hearing you? You could call and you could tell me. You could call if you want. The number's right there. You could do it. You all have phones. I know every single one of you have phones. But it's me. I'm the one buying into the PSYOP. All these people, all these beautiful people standing up against the comply or die police state are so buying into the programming. It's so clear. The programming says you have to stand up against the police state. That's what they get from the time they're little, right? Don't question authority. Don't question authority. That's all they hear, right? I mean, question authority. Question. That's the programming, right? You gotta question authority. Really? Who's buying into the PSYOP? Bah, 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 bah. So, did it die or something? Let's see. All right. Okay. So there's a few people there in New York. I thought there was just a guy dancing around with a drum, but there's a few people there. That's awesome. You go, New York. I bet it's very warm there too. Like I said, it's a lovely night for a walkabout. Portland's going to be jamming, I'm sure. They're just waiting for the sun to go down. I can't believe, well, people in Seattle really like it when they get sun. I'm not a big sun person. I didn't get to go out in the sun today. I feel bad the dogs didn't get a walk. Let's see, my girl. My girl, she wants a walkie. Oh, my girl. She's laying down by the river. You want to go for a swimmy, girl? Get your balls wet? She's such a pretty girl. Okay, so, I guess we're going to go ahead and get another video queued up here. I think it's important, again, to see this video of, this video from Colorado. I guess this was about a year ago, and they're re-looking at the case because of the protests that are going on and have been going on continuously, calling for the case to be re-examined, of this young man who gets murdered by police. And it's a pretty rough video, and it made me cry. So I'm just warning you ahead of time. And again, this is why, this is all I'm saying is that we can do better. We can do better. These people deserve better. We all deserve better than this, for certain.
And now to the deadly police encounter just now getting attention. A young black man stopped. Police said he was acting suspiciously and resisting, and then the violent takedown. He can be heard pleading for his life. Tonight, the governor calling for an investigation. Why did it take so long? Here's Pierre Thomas.
In the wake of the death of George Floyd, who died after a Minneapolis police officer put his knee on his neck, this controversial police encounter with a young black man in Aurora, Colorado, is getting new attention. Elijah McClain, a 23-year-old massage therapist who loved playing the violin, is dead after a misunderstanding. It began with this 911 call last August about a suspicious man walking just after 10 p.m. on a Saturday night.
I don't know. He looks sketchy. He might be a good person or a bad person.
McLean, returning from buying iced tea at a corner store, is wearing a mask. His family says because he often got cold since he's anemic.
Do your favor, stop right there. Hey, stop right there. Stop. 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 I have a right to stop you because you're being suspicious.
In seconds, it escalates. The officer grabs McLean.
Stop tensing up. No,
let go of me.
Stop tensing up.
No, I am an introvert. Please respect the boundaries that I am speaking. Let go of me.
Soon he's surrounded by officers. One applies a carotid control hold, claiming that McLean allegedly reached for one of their guns. McLean pleads, saying that he's different, but that he's nonviolent.
I'm so sorry. I have no gun. I don't do that stuff. I don't do any fighting. The other units that are not here. Why were you telling me?
Clearly in pain, at one point he says the phrase, now infamous.
I can't breathe.
Authorities restrained McLean, and later paramedics gave him a drug ketamine to calm him. Authorities say he suffered from cardiac arrest in the ambulance and died days later at a hospital. A coroner declared the manner of death to be undetermined.
There was no call for what they did. There was no reason for them to stop him.
His family calling for an investigation, but the prosecutor maintaining there is no case.
Based on the investigation, we did not feel like we could prove any crime beyond a reasonable doubt based on the officer's actions.
Colorado's governor said today that he's appointed a special prosecutor to investigate. David?
All right, Pierre, I know you'll stay on the case. Thank you.
All right, so did you guys see that? The cop, they had him on the ground and they injected him with ketamine. Do you see that? The cops injected him with something. How is this acceptable in America? Okay? And they killed him. And he was apologizing to them because he doesn't handle people well. And he's just walking home from the store. And why is this like this? Doesn't have to be like this. We all deserve better than this. Elijah deserved way better than this. You know, and if you guys just want to buy into the division, then buy into the division, okay? But that's not where I'm coming from. And I never have. It's always been about us coming together and having all the power. Hello, caller.
Hey, Mox, Mike, it's Keith from the chat.
Keith?
Yeah, man.
How's it going?
Good, man. How are you?
I'm good. I'm good. Thank you. Thanks for calling.
Yeah, man. I just wanted to ask you. I think it's fascinating the psyop claims that everything's a psyop that you don't understand. Like,
yeah.
It really reminds me of the 60s history and like how just because the CIA was involved, people trivialized like pleasure, music, sex, and they thought it was all MK Ultra. And I think people are trying to do that with this movement.
Well, I mean, the psyop is always going on. I mean, it's never ending. It comes at you from every direction from the time we're very little. It's the programming it's the programming I keep talking about endlessly, and again, I think the most basic thing is to recognize when people are being divisive. You know, when people are trying to divide us into these small groups, you know, that or one side or the other, the left right crap, you know, it's just that is the psyop, in my opinion. The fear, you know, the never ending, the terrorist, you know, that the COVID-19 is going to get you. That is the psyop. Never ending fear, never ending terror and divide, because if we just come together, we would we would have all the power. And that's what I've been saying from day one.
Absolutely. And just because there's like micro ups and downs or agent provocateurs, I mean, the meta or the macro message is still one of like, hey, we're upset and we're trying to be as peaceful as possible. And I think that transcends people with bad intent or whatever.
Yeah, there's a lot of people with bad intent, and an awful lot of them pose as people that are there to help us, you know.
Yeah, it is fascinating.
I think everybody in the media, honestly, in the television media, I look at all of it. I'm so disgusted with the local news media, and the mainstream media has been disgusting forever. But it's like they all seem like they have, you know, bad intent for, you know, we have to vilify the people in the street. You know, we have to make sure, you know, protests turn violent. I mean, they keep trying to blame shit. It's just, there's never a good thing to say about the protesters, you know?
Yeah, that alone is fascinating. I agree.
So
they also seem to, I mean, it's human nature to have like this clean, sewn up story. Like, oh, the protests are like, yeah, they're all commies, or like, it's satisfying. You can sleep better at night, but it's really shortcut to thinking, actually.
Well, that's what the labels like that are all about, you know. They can label someone a liberal or a communist or a socialist, or somebody was using the word Bolshevik the other night. You know, they just keep throwing the labels up against the wall to try and see if anything sticks with people. You know, if they can get a label that sticks, then, you know, people have this shortcut, like you said, to know to disregard everything that person is saying because they're one of those, whatever the label says.
Yeah. And it's really fascinating how people who are good-looking billionaires, they all stoop to that. I don't think anyone's beyond that, actually, but it is both frightening and exciting. I don't know. It's interesting.
It's a very fascinating time that we live in.
Yeah. Anyways, man, I think what you're doing is amazing. Very few people have your point of view, and it's awesome that you keep an even keel and head towards freedom instead of like getting caught up in, like you say, labels or brief scandals, all that shit. Yeah.
Well, anybody who's, you know, trying to get you to buy into this left-right thing isn't about freedom, you know. They're about dividing us so that they can, you know, pretend like they're about freedom for the right, for religious freedom, you know what I mean? Because then when you preach to an audience like that, then they all agree with you, because you just draw in this religious freedom audience, you know. Oh, we can't have abortions, no abortions. You know, it's like fucking just pandering to suckers, and they just eat it up, you know.
Yeah, it is like red meat, isn't it?
Yeah.
Like bread and circuses with information. We've gone beyond actual bread and circuses and red meat, and we've moved on to like sound bites and like, oh, this is the new enemy for tonight. Like, it's just amazing.
Yeah, it's always oh, look, there's Rufus. You see Rufus? There's Rufus. Look, hold on one second. Hold on, look, wait. There's Rufus. Look at Rufus. He's right there. Look, there's Rufus. There's Rufus. Look, Rufus. You're my beautiful baby. Wait. You are my beautiful baby. Yeah. Not you, Keith.
Right on.
So, where are you calling from?
Vancouver, man. Longtime fan, obviously. And, yeah, I love tuning in. I got I'm like you, I got a health problem. So, I always am on the internet. So it's good.
Well, I try not to spend too much screen time. Honestly, it's kind of like poison. So be sure and give yourself some kind of limits when it comes to that stuff.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So you get to go out and enjoy the day. I mean, it's a beautiful day today.
Yeah, I was on like a 2-hour hike and
awesome.
Yeah, it's just a beautiful day. Yeah, stellar. Perfect balance between humidity and
about as good as it gets,
worried
man.
about COVID. Yeah.
Well, are you guys all wearing masks where you're at?
It's not too bad actually. There's no outright enforcement, but you can certainly sense it that people are really tense and like they don't really know what to believe and they want to fit in and like the whole spectrum of nervousness. It's good.
Well, that's
it's not good, but
that's
no
what
one's out of control.
It seems like that's what the masks are all about, is to keep that never-ending fear going,
Right.
Because the reason that you would put a mask on in the first place is some kind of a fear reason, and then you recognize the fear, whether you want to recognize it consciously or not, is being done in your brain, and then every time you see a mask on someone else's fear, and what is it you're afraid of? All those other people that have the mask on, It's really fucked up programming, dude. It's very, very messed up. I'm very concerned about the mandatory mask stuff. It seems like
it reminds me of medieval or Star Trek or Aztec or Mayan, like where just because there was a good hunting season and there's a solar eclipse coming up, like we all have to have a talisman or something. Like, yeah, the concept of a talisman is amazing, where you show your devotion by having something on you or holding something.
So that's how we all become part of the same tribe, huh?
Yeah, which isn't in itself bad to be part of a tribe. I just think in this case, it might be bad.
Well, what I don't like is I don't like the governors, acting like they have the power to do this, to make masks mandatory.
Yeah.
Because it seems to me that is not the power that they were given. You can't just say, I proclaim this, and now it's so, and now you're subject to 90 days in jail if you don't do what I said. I don't think it works that way in America. I'm not positive, but that's what I've been told.
And if you research, like I'm really into old cultures and religions and totemic religions.
Oh yeah, really?
Them, they do stuff to prove devotion. It was only about proving devotion, not like astrology or anything. They just wanted to prove devotion within the tribe or the country or the world even. Anyways, man, I'll let you go. It's awesome to listen to you every night.
Right on, Keith. Well, it's good to hear from you, and I'm glad that you're able to get out and enjoy the day.
Yeah, for sure, man.
So I look forward to talking to you guys again soon. What do you think about all this, all the police state stuff going on? I mean, do you have any input you want to share about, where you think this is headed? Are we going to be able to make anything happen, or?
I think it's getting to the point where we should focus on what's flaky but true. In other words, like emphasizing peace, as cliche as that is. Like, you gotta think that we're all pretty dumb, even though we have the internet and satellites and phones and shit. But we should, in terms of where it's going, I don't know where it's going, but it's a lot like the 60s in terms of drugs. Everyone thought you had genetic damage or you went nuts if you tried drugs, and they tried to subvert it and occupy what it meant, and it's really interesting. But I think if you focus on the peace aspect of it, even though people write you off as a flake, it's still good in the long run. Same thing with freedom. That's another good word.
Right. Yeah. No. I think the protest in the 60s, it was always love everywhere,
Right.
Yeah. So, and that's again, this is really what I'm talking about when I say we have to come together, because there's this division, is manufactured and clearly, based in some kind of hate orientation that adds nothing to anybody's life. So why would you buy into it? I just hate the division, man. This thing where it's like, what also really bothers me is the social, like people trying to push their social, their moralistic fucking shit. Like somehow, the land of the free, you can't have marijuana. That's the reason that we have the drug war, because of this moralistic crap. And meanwhile, all the people that are writing these laws and enforcing them all act like they're above the law, and the law doesn't apply to them,
Totally. Or that they don't have moments of bliss and highness, or like they want to occupy who has pleasure. I always like that. People talk about that's why they made drugs illegal, and if they could, they would make jazz and rock and everything illegal.
Yeah.
Like the control mechanism is
dancing
in the background.
Dancing, they would make dancing illegal.
Exactly.
I hear you. And you're absolutely right. I believe that wholeheartedly. That is, and this is the whole thing about these people in the street is they see the vice getting tighter and tighter, and that's not the direction it needs to go,
No.
So and you look, it's mostly young people, and they're wanting just a better future. That's the way I see this.
Yeah, and it is broad, and there's details everywhere, but to get hung up on the details is basically what the bad people want you to do, which is division. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, to recognize the division is very important, and the details when you say get hung up on the details, it's like they know that you're going to get hung up on this one detail, so they're going to focus on this detail, and make sure that everybody knows that detail, and because that's going to be the one that you can clearly divide people with. And it's like, this is one small, little, teeny, nothing of a detail. Let's get the whole bigger picture, and and which side do you stand on, the people or the police state? It really seems that clear to me.
Yeah, absolutely. You gotta stay broad in your scope. That's the way I see it. Because scandal, the principle of a scandal is detail. I'm not saying that you should ignore all detail. I'm just saying, like, that's the tool they use. Like, oh my God, like this happened, and it's not like the big picture, even if it's terrible. Yeah.
I hear you, Keith. I think, like I keep saying, we can do better. These people deserve better. We all deserve better,
Mm-hmm. Anyways, man, I got a pizza going here.
Lucky.
And, great to talk to you, man.
Right on. It's good to talk to you too, Keith. I look forward to talking again soon.
Okay, mother peace. Bye.
See you. And that's Keith from Vancouver, which is cool. Let's see. I have a pizza, although it's a few hours out still. It appears. Let me see what we got here. Again, and this is the truth. It is a never-ending psyop from the time you're little. From the time you're little. Again, we talked about this, from at least the age of 5, if not way before that, and I'm absolutely certain it's way before that. It's programming. And the biggest part of the programming is to divide people. The biggest part of the programming is to be afraid. That's how they divide. It's going to make you afraid. That's why the mask. That's okay. That's why the mask are such a programming tool, are such a fear and divide tool, because what they want you afraid of is each other. What they want you divided from is each other. And putting on the mask is obviously a thing of fear. It's an act of fear. You're putting on the mask because of this horrible, terribly, deadly, frightening virus that's out there. That's why you're putting on the mask. Fear, fear, fear. Okay? And then what it is that you're genuinely afraid of is all the other people with the mask. But even more than that, the people without the mask. All the people without the mask. But the people with the mask too. You understand? This divides better than ever. This pushes the fear more than ever. Yeah, call. I mean, whatever. Okay, so I'm not sure what the park is there in New York, or where they're at in New York, but that looks like a lovely spot. Columbus last night got a little heated. Again, nobody's wearing masks in Columbus, from what I can see. Hello. Oh, that guy is. Hello, caller.
Yeah, hi there. I just want to know your position on Howard Stern, the radio show personality.
Uh-huh. I think Howard has had a fabulous career.
I agree.
Better than he probably ever would have guessed.
Yeah, Baba Booey.
Good call. What else would you expect from a Howard Stern caller? But, you know, it's the truth. Howard's had a fabulous career, and congratulations. He's done it like no one else, which is something that I can certainly respect. Even though I don't really enjoy his work, but he is unique to the industry, in my opinion. So, bravo, Howard. If you actually wanted my opinion. Okay, so again, it's looking pretty chill everywhere. I'm not sure where there's the protesters in Seattle. Bottom right-hand corner is Seattle. Louisville, Kentucky is about, again, Breonna Taylor and the murder, and a couple other killings, including a restaurant owner that got shot by the police firing live rounds into a crowd of protesters. The restaurant owner had been serving free meals to the police on the street, and they killed him while he was trying to rescue his niece, who had also been shot by the police opening fire, live rounds, into the protesters in Kentucky. So they have damn good reason to be out in the street. Oh, and I have a video about Metro bus drivers in Seattle having like a hate crime thing that happened to them recently. There was a noose and some kind of like a mammy doll found like at a flagpole. In their, like, one of their headquarters, I believe. And I have, what other video do I have? Oh, I have a video about Israel, about Poland, who's purchasing anti-tank missile system, which is actually, if you read the fine print, is an anti-personnel missile system. It's basically a guided missile that can hit like any drone, you know, with cameras. It has wings and flies and stuff. They can guide it where they want it. And Poland is purchasing that, which is probably not a good sign. And I have that video ready to go here momentarily. So, if anybody wants to call, the number is 805-669-6397. I will be happy to take your call. And Wilco, if you haven't left already, please call, because I have no beef with you. And I'm sorry if I'm doing something that is creating a beef with me. I apologize. You are a fine example of human, and I wish you were my neighbor, and you know that's true, I hope. So if you are out there, please call so that we can have a talkie. It's better to talk this out. Up, people dancing in the street in Seattle. Oh no. Oh no, this is horrible. This is horrible. People dancing in Seattle? Oh my God. This can lead to nothing but trouble. Hello, caller.
Hello, Mox. How are you?
I'm good. Who is this?
This is Francis.
Hi, Francis. That's my middle name.
You know, your phone man was telling me that.
What's going on?
Well, yeah, I'm watching this multi-streams, and they're talking about the face mask covering, and I don't understand why they would have to enforce it. A lot of people like to wear masks. Have you heard of Ski Mask Andy?
No, I don't know that person.
Okay, he's a live streamer. He's very short. He's legally a dwarf, or a little person, as they say. And he wears a ski mask in Hollywood, and he wears it all the time. And so regardless of COVID or not, he's wearing it. And it's a little frightening, but, he hasn't caught it yet. And so I feel like anyone that wants to stay healthy and doesn't want corona, they're going to wear a mask. He's also he rides horses. He's got a horse named Bobby. And sometimes he'll even put a mask on the horse. And like I say, neither one of them have gotten sick.
Well, good for him. I haven't gotten sick either, and I haven't worn a mask at all.
Okay, well. Are you about to light something on fire with that propane bottle, sir?
I am thinking about it. It's possible. Have a big fat puff of concentrated marijuana.
Oh, okay. All right, well, I'm going to stay tuned for that. I'll be watching.
Okay, well, what do you think about the protest?
Well, I think a lot of these protesters are really uppity.
Really?
They want to see the...
That's the word you want to use, huh?
Yeah, I think so. I'd say either uppity or brainwashed. And the fact of the matter is that they're just pawns in this election year. But they don't understand that, because if you go to any primate research center, what they do is they do experiments and tests and behavior analysis on these primates. And George Soros is doing the same thing with these blacks. They're just monkeys that he's, parading around and doing.
Thanks for calling. And again, I am a big free speech advocate, but we're not going to call people racial slurs as if it is okay. Because it's not, that's not why we're here. We're not here to act like somehow there is a superior race. And those who are, again, so he wants to say somehow that these people are buying into the program, okay? So what I'm telling you is that these are basically the sides that you're drawing on. You can stand with the young adults of America who want a better tomorrow, or you can stand with this other side who somehow sees them as uppity because they're not licking boot, because they're done licking boot. And again, I told you, as the sun begins to go down, more and more people will come out. In Portland, I believe, the sun is starting to get a little bit low. It's probably starting to cool off a little, just a touch in Portland. It can be pretty warm there. They don't have the big old Puget Sound on one side and the big old lake on the other side. What is going on in Seattle? What is happening here? They definitely look uppity to me. Careful. Careful. That could have ended horribly. So again, I love Seattle, and because for me, this is how Seattle has always been. It's not your average city. The people are genuinely, it's very artsy, kind of, live your life the way you want city. So we will take a look at what's going on here for a minute. Because it seemed kind of entertaining. What is happening? Thank God we're not getting close-ups. I might have to cover those squares up. Those girls are cray-cray. Do what now? Hello, caller.
Hi.
Hello.
Hi, my name's Erica, calling from California.
Hey, Erica, how are you tonight? Thanks for calling.
Yeah, of course. I'm calling. I'm watching you. I've watched you several times. I agree with you sometimes, and then I disagree with you sometimes. And you just said bootlicker, and I want to know, what is a bootlicker to you?
Somebody who submits to tyranny.
Okay, but when you say that, are you talking about like our government is tyranny, like the United States right now is tyranny, how it sits right now?
The policing system, yeah, this is a police state. This is tyranny.
Okay.
They literally are telling us what we can and can't say. They're telling us what we can and can't put in our bodies. I've said many times, Erica, that this government has been at war with me since at least age 15. And I didn't start the war. They brought the war to me.
Because I can agree with that to a certain extent, and I'll tell you where I'm at, because I'm a college student right now, but I feel that, and I was a left-leaning person before I entered school, but being in college, I've become more right-wing because I've seen how, I don't even want to say right, I guess I'd say more center, because there are issues that I will lean more left on, but my point is, I've noticed, and even with the BLM movement, but like you said, these people in Seattle dancing, whatever, I have no problem with that. Dance your ass off, free speech, go for it. Pardon my French. But like the BLM movement and the really hardcore communists, just Antifa, that's tyranny to me. That's silencing free speech. So, I don't know, just when you said bootlicker, I felt like calling. And the last caller even when he said uppity, these people are uppity. I didn't know what some terms. I'm like, what does that even mean? So
Yeah.
also too, I'm calling. I think people, if we spoke more and just had more normal conversations and weren't yelling at people at these protests and having these megaphones and just yelling racial slurs at one another, we could get along so much better. But it's become so hostile.
And that's what I keep talking about also, is that the programming is to divide us, you know, and
Completely.
I mean, so we have to recognize, you know, the division and go and get over whatever this thing is. Look, Antifa is this little tiny movement that's never going to go anywhere, and basically they're instigators, and they've been labeled domestic terrorists, and they're probably going to get squashed here any day. So, you know, I that's like as kind of like this boogeyman kind of thing. The Black Lives Matter movement isn't going to go anywhere, and it's gonna. I mean, by that I mean it's going to be here forever, and we basically just have to say, of course, Black Lives Matter. You know, because I mean,
of course,
yeah.
of course,
And
absolutely.
it's just horrible that they feel like maybe some people don't know that, right?
You know, with this whole movement, I have to be honest. Juneteenth, I had no idea that even existed.
Mm-hmm.
So I've learned a lot of things in this movement. So yes, there are some wonderful things that have come out of it, but I just hate to see the hostility. There's been wonderful things. There's been negative things. These people dancing and expressing themselves, that's wonderful. But I hate to see the ripping down of the statues and the graffiti and just the desecration of areas of society. That is one thing that, and there's Republicans and Democrats, there's both sides that do it. Like you said, the tyranny, shutting down speech of one another. I can't stand that.
Yeah. Well, again, that's the ripping down of statues. I understand that's very difficult, because it's you know, it's kind of a mob mentality thing, and nobody really wants to move from that standpoint. But the truth is, you know, these people, they really do have a grievance, you know, with these people with the statues and stuff. Go ahead.
I understand that sometimes seeing those things can be really emotionally distressing,
Mm-hmm.
but wouldn't you say that those being there are an impression that is everlasting, to say, we will never go back to that. We will, that stays there to represent the stain on our nation, that we will never, ever do that to you again.
I don't support the tearing down of statues. I think people should be able to accomplish the same thing with just a protest, you know. So I think that it's unfortunate that the people who hate the protest are given that ammo. But again, I think that a lot of these protesters, that's not what they're about. You know, they are about, again, what I really see, Erica, is I really see a lot of very youthful adults. And I see them basically saying, you know, that they don't want to live the rest of their adult life with the police state breathing down their neck, and them having to constantly look over their shoulder to make sure that they're not coloring outside the lines, and so that the police state can smash their entire future. You know what I mean? Nobody wants to live with that hanging over their head, right?
Absolutely not.
Yeah.
No. And we don't want children being brought up in that way either, thinking that they have to live a different way versus a different child.
And Erica, I keep seeing little children, like 5, 6, 7, 8 years old, and they see the police and they're terrified.
Terrified.
Yeah.
I've seen it too.
And
there is a difference.
It just breaks my heart, you know. It just breaks my heart. Like that's not what America should be, you know.
No, and you can't deny it. You can't. So there, you can see it. You can't deny it. And they feel they need to be heard, and we're here, we're listening, and we just need to talk to one another. And Mox, thanks for listening to me. You're wonderful. I'll take a little toke when you take one, okay?
Okay, Erica. Well,
right,
I will get that set up
for
then.
Everyone in the chat.
Thanks a bunch for calling.
All right, guys. Have a good night, everyone.
Bye.
Bye.
And that's our buddy Erica. And that was nice to hear from her. She's a college student, and she, she supports freedom, and she wanted to understand better what I mean by bootlicker, because and I think that's what she said, the reason that she called. And again, in my opinion, what I mean by bootlicker is someone that bows down to tyranny, someone that says, "Oh yeah, you can't smoke marijuana, that's illegal." And there's a lot of good reasons why people would do that. Like that they have a job that they're terrified they might lose if something happened with marijuana, and they have a family to support, and they don't want, all that stuff to happen to them, right? So like the most dangerous thing about marijuana is that it is illegal, because it can ruin your life. That's what's dangerous about marijuana. Otherwise, it's this thing that protects you from cancer, that protects you from dementia, that protects you from and this incredible natural resource, this renewable natural resource that you can fuel your cars on, you can build your homes out of, you can make clothing out of. It's endless what this resource has the ability to make happen in our world. And it's all been taken from us because of greedy people who saw an opportunity to make money off of bolstering a police state. And we can do better, right? We can do better. And when you say, I used to be left and now I'm right. Again, that is buying into this divide thing, right? It's like, okay, I want to identify with these people, but the truth is that you don't really want to identify with this people, because these people that are the leaders of this left-right thing, those people that are the leaders of the left are horrible war criminals who have the blood of 1 million innocent Iraqis on their hands. Okay? Those people you don't want to identify with. The people on the right are horrible war criminals who have the blood of 1 million innocent Iraqis on their hands. They're exactly the same. They're the ones who fund the Patriot Act, who fund the NSA, the NDAA, all these things that just make the police state bigger and stronger. The DHS, they're the ones who fund the Iraq War, who fund all these wars, these never-ending wars that keep expanding and popping up in new places continuously. We can't do better than that. That's what the police state is all about, keeping in place. All right. So Portland looks pretty chill. There goes my Boo Bear. Are they going on walkabout already in Portland? I wonder if they've got a stage set up or what they're doing. The food trucks just show up? Everybody's headed their direction. That doesn't usually happen just all of a sudden. They must be going on a walkabout. All right, time for a little walkie. Time for a little walkie in Portland. All right. All right. It's all right. Whatever gets you through the night, it's alright, it's alright. Hello, caller.
What do you got, a gay pride parade up in Seattle, man? I'm watching all those attractive guys in high heels. Woo!
Those guys are working it, huh?
So, you know, at least they're practicing.
It looked like they were having a good time, you know, whatever.
Oh, definitely, man. They're practicing for their cabaret act, so, you know, it's all good.
Yeah.
I don't give a shit. It's kind of entertaining to see. But I think your other caller from my state, what was her name? Karen?
Erica?
Erica. Yeah, she's just commenting on the opposition between nihilism and conformity, because what you got is part of the protesters are nihilistic. It's like, nothing matters. We're protesting everything. We'll tear everything down. There's nothing to live for. You can't tell us what to do.
Well, no freedom, no future. You know,
I mean, no freedom, no future. Yeah. So, you know, that's just one part of the public that's out in the streets. Not everybody out in the streets is nihilistic, and it kind of points out the two sides to the story. Like, what is worse? Gay people, gay boys with hot pants on and high heels dancing in the street, or police shooting in live ammo into crowds and calling it good? If I had my druthers, I'd go with the gay boys in the high heels, because it's not okay to shoot live ammo into crowds and beat people up and frame people and plant drugs on them and let them sit in prisons for 2 years without a trial.
Do you see that? Do you see that?
You know, the whole police state story. We go on and on and on.
You see the video of that kid in Colorado, Elijah?
No, I kind of just tuned in. Did you play that earlier?
Yeah, I played it a few minutes ago. It's really sad, man. They got like 5 cops on the kid. He's apologized. He's walking home from the store with his iced tea in a shopping bag.
Yeah, I saw. I didn't see your video, but I saw a report on that. Might have been on Amy Goodman's show. Might have been somewhere else. I did see it today.
Yeah.
And they killed him, right?
Yeah, he died on the scene. He, and he's apologizing to him. He's saying, "I'm sorry. I don't do any of this stuff. I don't have any guns. I don't do any drugs. I don't do any of this stuff." What? And he's it's just horrific, man. And they show up in this video that I showed. They show the cops on top of him, and they fucking shoot him with a hypodermic needle, a syringe full of ketamine.
What does ketamine do?
Ketamine is a tranquilizer.
The cops administered a tranquilizer.
Yeah, with them on top of him.
Holy fuck. And the ketamine killed him.
It's a combination of them, brutalizing him for absolutely no reason, and I'm sure the ketamine had something to do with it too. I can't believe I've never seen this before. Cops fucking literally pulled out a syringe and injected it into like his neck, man.
Murder, baby. Throw him in prison. That's murder. I would rather see gay boys dancing on the steps of the Seattle City Hall than to know that kind of shit is going on. So, despite the fact that society is completely and totally insane, if I had to choose, I would choose the gay nihilists over the police state. It's not even a contest. I'm just like you. I'm not in favor of tearing down statues. I would rather remove the statues, put them in a museum. Somebody spent weeks and weeks and months making those statues. Doesn't matter if it's a statue of Mickey Mouse or a statue of Calhoun. Put it in a fucking museum. You're not doing anything constructive by spray painting the statue, knocking it over, hanging it, from a noose. I know there's crazy shit going on from the protesters, and I'm not in favor of that, but it can't hold a candle to the atrocities of the police state as the video you must have just showed everybody. A kid, I know the story, the kid went to get his brother an iced tea.
Yeah.
And he ends up dead, injected with ketamine, dead.
Yeah.
There's no excuse for murdering people. I don't care if you're a cop, the president ordering a drone strike. People go, what if I allowed myself the same liberties?
And they literally have just reopened this case because of all the fucking, people been protesting about it for a year.
Oh, no shit.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And
it's about time.
Yeah, and the governor just ordered a new investigation. And, so the first investigation found they did nothing wrong.
And the reason they reopened it was because camera footage was released, right?
It's because people have been protesting endlessly for a year, and we're in a different moment right now. I think.
Right, yeah. So, yeah, I'm very much in favor of reopening atrocious cases of murder and police atrocities. I don't care if they go back 5 years, 10 years. What's the statute of limitations? There is no statute of limitations on murder. So reopen every motherfucking case. Because I would rather see gay boys dancing and hear Dwayne complaining about it than let cops or anybody get away with murder, because the police state has, I'm not in favor of the status quo. All these protests are protesting the status quo. As disorganized as they are, as crazy as they are, as egotistical as they are, all the crazy stuff that's happening is because people don't understand their egos. The cops don't understand their egos. They think they're cops and above the law, and the protesters don't understand their egos. And if you don't understand your ego, you're not going to understand your second ego. And your second ego is your avatar on social media. It's your presence. I'm such and such from somewhere, and I'm Superboy, and I'm the real thing, and don't argue with me or I'll chop you up. It's like, if you don't understand your first ego, your second ego is on your telephone, and you don't even understand that. That's not who you are. Your avatar on your Facebook page or your YouTube channel or whatever. It's difficult enough. People have been trying to understand their actual egos since God created snakes and apples. That's the problem with the left, the right, the police, the protesters. We got to get out of our egos and into some kind of commonality. Like the police have to say, I'm a citizen and I'm not above the law. And the protesters have to say, I'm part of society and I want society to advance, and I'm fighting for something. I'm not just fighting for nothing. I'm fighting for something. So, I understand people's disgust with some of the things the protests are doing, but the real disgust ought to be with the other side, with the murders, the imprisonments, the framing, the enforcers, the corrupt politicians, the military machine. I mean, we can go on and on and on. The drug war, Congress.
It doesn't end, yeah. It never ends. You could go on, you could literally go on and on and on for hours and hours. All the fucking money that's being wasted policing, otherwise fucking law-abiding citizens.
Yeah, well, it goes back, I'm not a Bible thumper. I could give a fuck about Jesus or Yahweh or any of the dumb fucks, Muhammad or anybody. But, when that woman in the Bible was she was an adulterer. Maybe she fell in love with somebody and she fucked some other guy. But at those times, a woman could be stoned, right? Okay, so the people were stoning the woman, and Jesus stepped in and said, "He who is without sin cast the first stone," and everybody dropped their stones and they walked away because they're all sinful. So, I don't give a fuck.
Monty Python, Life of Brian. I think they did that same thing, and somebody threw a stone at him.
Threw a stone at Jesus?
Yeah.
I missed that part. But, the point is, if you're criticizing the protesters for wearing hot pants and dancing and spray painting statues or spray painting buildings or taking over a 6-block area or, not being appropriate according to your standards, well, that must mean that according to your standards, it's okay to shoot live rounds into people. It's okay to
into a crowd of people.
Yeah. It's like we're calling attention to atrocities and to a way that we don't want to continue living as a society. The cops have got to come into the reality that they're not above the law. I was afraid for my life. The poodle was attacking me. The little girl on the couch in the house that was with the wrong address, I was afraid for my life. It's like, it's a tough job being a cop. But if you don't have common sense and you can't keep your cool, go be a fisherman.
Right.
Go be a fry cook. Do something else.
If you're moving from a standpoint of fear continuously, you have to find a different job.
Yeah, and look at the FBI. And I've said this before. In California, the people that fix the roads, for the most part, it's not like the lowest contract wins. It's like Caltrans fixes all the roads in California. And in order to get the budget for the next year, a lot of times they rip up perfectly good roads and then repave them in order to say, oh, well, the next year we're going to need such and such of a budget. So the FBI creates terror events, busts the terror events that they've been creating in order to sustain the Patriot Act, the TSA. You can't go on an airplane with too much shampoo, otherwise you're a terrorist. It's like, what the fuck?
And the Pentagon works the same way. The Pentagon keeps creating these wars so that they can have a bigger and bigger budget because we're at war and we have to be able to afford it. We have to have the newest, latest weapons, blah, blah, blah.
We have to maintain the illusion that there really are people who want to come and blow up America. And in order to do that, they actually fund a lot of the terrorists. The guys that flew the planes into the buildings were being surveilled for years beforehand. We knew who they were. And they were in San Diego, and across the street from them was Mossad agents. And how come that happened when there was a live event going on at the same time so that no one was able to respond? It's like they got games within games, psyops within psyops. If you can blow up giant buildings in New York and 20 years later people don't realize that's what happened, that there was 3,000-degree pools of molten metal underneath the rubble for 3 months. I mean, from what? A fire or some gasoline? I don't think so, motherfucker. 20 years later, we haven't busted that psyop, and that psyop ushered in the police state. And so now we have a pushback against the police state. It's like we're not dealing with a high level of intellect in society, not on the protester side, not on the police side. It's like everybody choose a side and fight each other, and that's exactly what is going on. And
well, okay, let me just clarify. The drug war is what really started the police state, and then the crack cocaine epidemic is really what put the police state into this militarized state of mind. That's when they had to be the biggest, toughest bully on the block. And then when 2001 came, like all the restraints were taken off the police, and they could have any fucking weapons they want. I mean, it just it's become completely out of control. It wasn't just 2001 that the police state began.
Oh, there's so many examples. Even when Obama was president, they had that gun running thing. I think it was like Fast and Furious, I think.
Yeah.
And some of those guns that a year and a half ago killed those Mormons in Mexico were from that Fast and Furious gun running program that started under the Obama FBI or ATF or whatever it was. So, I mean, I don't prepare what I'm going to say, but if I was to prepare, I could go down a list of 100 programs like that, all of which were false. And to me, right now, the most important one is the biochemical lab atrocity that shut down the global economy, and the repercussions of which we haven't even seen yet. You're going to see homelessness, foreclosures, job losses, people dying because of lack of income, all kinds of stuff that's going to go on because Congress enriched themselves and their buddies, and they gave us, if we qualify, a $1,200 check. That was 4 months ago. How far can $1,200 go for 4 months?
I wouldn't think very far.
Yeah, well, the point is, it's corruption everywhere. And if I had to make a choice between some half-wit protesters, and I'm generalizing, they're not all half-wits, just some of them, and some nihilist protesters, and I'm generalizing, they're not all nihilists, and a few rioters, they're definitely very, very few rioters. And the police state, which has the authority to commit crimes, cover up the crimes, investigate themselves, exonerate themselves, and get away with murder thousands of times, thousands and thousands of times, you know which side I'm going to side on. I'm going to side with the half-wit protesters. They don't have to be Einsteins. They don't have to be historians. All they have to do is push back against the police state, and people are stepping up to try to vocalize, to try to explain to the population why the police state needs to be restricted, and no matter how hard we push, you're going to get some nut job cops that obviously are just going to keep shooting people, keep busting people, framing people, arresting, false arrests, or, they'll be resigning. It's like, okay, you bust my fellow officer for this crime, I'm going to resign. My whole department is going to resign. Don't call us when there's an emergency. Well, guess what? When there's an emergency, I don't call you anyways, because I got my own fucking guns and I can take care of my own fucking shit. So you're not going to see me calling the cops.
Well, yeah, and it's not even that. It's that, okay, so I guess we get where you're coming from. If you're going to be held accountable for abusing the public, then you don't want to do this job anymore. We understand. That's not the people we want in these positions.
And for just to speak for the police, there's plenty of good cops. Okay, and you know what they say, one bad apple spoils the whole bunch. It makes the whole bunch look rotten, you know. So
It's
the
not.
bad cops.
It's not that. It's this Apple analogy. Look, here's the real analogy. If you helped someone get away with murder, covered up for someone getting away with murder, tried to protect the person that committed the murder from being investigated or screw up that investigation every way you could, you would also be charged as an accomplice of murder, right?
Yeah, and we see that quite often. Is that
Okay,
violence
so
is
whatever. I believe every person is an individual. And as an individual, it's that's the best way to deal with them. Myself, I always act like everyone is a friend until I'm proven otherwise. Now, that being said, if there's 2 cops, if there's 4 cops, they are no longer individuals. They are to be looked at like people that will take your life away, and they have this fucking muy macho competition thing that's going on to prove who the real alpha is that never fucking ends. You can ask any woman in the pack.
Yeah, you're right. You're right. I mean, you know, it ends up being a pack of wolves. So I don't like that, man. I don't like to see innocent people being downtrodden, disenfranchised, picked on, beat up, or killed. I don't like to see that. But unfortunately, that's the reality of the police state right now. So if you're silent about the atrocities that have been
that are ongoing, ongoing. They haven't stopped. They haven't slowed down. Every day there's a new one right in front of our eyes.
Yeah, every day. It's like they don't learn. Oh, well, America's on
Well,
fire
they're learning. I mean, they've stopped trying to stop these protesters walking around Portland, walking around Seattle. They tried that. That did not work out well for them at all. And they got out of the way of the protesters, and there hasn't been any kind of problems, you know? So...
Well, in India, there was like 2 reporters in India reporting on the atrocities of the British soldiers and their minions who were beating up Gandhi's peaceful protesters, just beating the shit out of them. And you had 2 reporters at that time taking that news and bringing it out to the world, AP, Associated Press. And nowadays, everybody's a reporter, everybody's got a camera, everybody can document everything.
Right.
So what these people in the streets are doing, they're pushing the police state into exposing themselves. So it's a catch-22 for the cops.
Right.
You either kill us or you change.
Right.
You kill us or you change the way you do things. And that's the big challenge. And I gotta, you know, as straight as I am and as conservative as I am, I still have to side on the side of the protesters because they've already made great strides and they've improved the conversation. They've brought the conversation into the light, and now even the thickest, dumbest motherfucker has no choice but to see that the police state is a corrupt, sinful, murderous thing. And if you side with that, you're siding with murder, you're siding with corruption, you're siding with slavery. I'm not a slave. If you want to be a slave, silence is complicity, and the bootlickers are complicit too. So the lady from California, if she wants you to explain what a bootlicker is someone who sides with sin. You're siding with sin and crime.
Tyranny.
You know,
oppression. Tyranny and oppression.
Right. I'm not siding with that. I've experienced enough injustice in my life so that you're not going to get me to side with tyranny and oppression. It's not going to happen with me, you know. So...
and nobody uses those words. I mean, you know, but it's the facts. This is exactly what the fucking founding fathers basically warned against and hated, and gave us the power to stand up against because they knew that it was coming.
Yeah, well, it's, you know, the founding fathers came along before Freud, before psychology, before Jung, but they knew enough about crowds and states and city-states and governments to know that pathological personalities are attracted to power and that people are always going to try to control the population. So they almost, I'm sure they spoke about it, but they definitely anticipated small revolutions and conflict every 20 years in the life of America.
I think so too. I really do. I think that they, and again, they not just expected it, they wanted to make sure that we had the power to make it happen. And that's what's truly beautiful about America, is this fucking right here. That's what I keep saying. That's exactly what the founding fathers wanted, and somehow you still buy into the division overwhelmingly. It's just unbelievable.
Well, when you had all those great men, those intellectuals and those new American philosophers who we call the founding fathers, when they formed the beginnings of a government, a lot of people were watching, and I remember Benjamin Franklin walked out of the Philadelphia City Hall or wherever it was, Independence Building, and somebody asked him, what kind of government will we have? And he said, a democratic republic, if you can keep it. So that, by its very nature of those words, says there's going to be conflict. There's going to
be... If you're willing to fight for your freedom, we made it so you can do that.
Right, exactly. So the Second Amendment was not made for hunters. The Second Amendment was made for the people to keep their government in check.
And yeah, exactly, to protect all the other amendments, basically.
Right. So, I mean, democracy is messy, and we see it's messy, and we're in the information age when everybody's got a phone, except me. I don't have a phone. I mean, I got a landline, but those little boxes you guys carry around, they're like against my religion so far. So, but, you know, you see all these people, you know, with the new technology, it's really hard to be a natural person unless you're a gardener and you've really balanced your life out and you don't take your phone with you everywhere you go. But, you know, the one guy that called up and said something about monkeys and, I don't know, you know, and you cut him off, you know, but I understand why you would cut him off. But I'm kind of talking about the same thing, but I'm not talking about black people or monkeys. I'm talking about human beings that have these devices in their hands that trick their minds into thinking there's something else other than what they actually are. And so I think that the technology has exceeded the self-knowledge in America, and there's nothing I can do about that except maybe talk about it from time to time and encourage people to put their phones down and get more in touch with nature. That's all I can do. But despite the turmoil, despite the clusterfuck, the fight is valid. The fight against the police state is valid. It's warranted. It's overdue. It's about time. And you can be a bootlicker, or you can remain silent, or you can be on the side of the people. Those are your only three choices. And the first two are not good choices. So I encourage everybody to see through the bullshit that's going on and realize that this is overdue. I don't want to see children tear gassed or shot, or the guy that we're talking about with the iced tea.
Yeah.
Injected with ketamine.
Yeah.
What the fuck is that?
Yeah. You want me to play that video? I can play that video again if you want to see it.
Oh, I'd love to see it, man. Yeah.
All right. All right. Well, thanks a lot for calling, and I'll play that video right now, and I'll talk to you soon. Okay.
Okay. Thanks, Mike. Take
Okay.
care.
And I'm going to play this video again because it is a very powerful video. And if you watch, The cops inject him with what they said was ketamine. Now, also, when I get back, I will heat up the bong and we'll have a bong hit because I know Erica's waiting. So let's see, which one is that? That is number 8. Number 8.
Thank you, Tom. And you heard Tom mention there the masks. They're not mandatory everywhere, of course, including some of the states where they're seeing that rapid increase in cases tonight. Some are now arguing those masks infringe on their rights. In fact, one city councilor using George Floyd's words, "I can't breathe," while he was talking about masks. Tonight, he's now apologizing, calling it insensitive. Here's Victor Oquendo. And now to the deadly police encounter just now getting attention. A young black man stopped. Police said he was acting suspiciously and resisting, and then the violent takedown. He can be heard pleading for his life. Tonight, the governor calling for an investigation. Why did it take so long? Here's Pierre Thomas.
In the wake of the death of George Floyd, who died after a Minneapolis police officer put his knee on his neck, this controversial police encounter with a young black man in Aurora, Colorado, is getting new attention. Elijah McClain, a 23-year-old massage therapist who loved playing the violin, is dead after a misunderstanding. It began with this 911 call last August about a suspicious man walking just after 10 p.m. on a Saturday night.
I know, he looks sketchy. He might be a good person or a bad person.
McClain, returning from buying iced tea at a corner store, is wearing a mask. His family says because he often got cold since he's anemic.
Do me a favor, stop right there. Hey, stop right there. Stop. 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 I have a right to stop you because you're being suspicious.
In seconds, it escalates. The officer grabs McClain.
Stop tensing up.
No, let go of me.
Stop tensing up.
No, I am an introvert. Please respect the boundaries that I am speaking. Let go of me.
Soon he's surrounded by officers. One applies a carotid control hold, claiming that McClain allegedly reached for one of their guns. McClain pleads, saying that he's different, but that he's nonviolent.
I'm so sorry. I have no gun. I don't do that stuff. I don't do any fighting. The other units that are not here. Why were you taking me?
Clearly in pain, at one point he says the phrase, now infamous.
I can't breathe.
Authorities restrained McClain, and later paramedics gave him a drug, ketamine, to calm him. Authorities say he suffered from cardiac arrest in the ambulance and died days later at a hospital. A coroner declared the manner of death to be undetermined.
There was no call for what they did. There was no reason for them to stop him.
His family calling for an investigation, but the prosecutor maintaining there is no case.
Based on the investigation, we did not feel like we could prove any crime beyond a reasonable doubt based on the officer's actions.
Colorado's governor said today that he's appointed a special prosecutor to investigate. David?
All right, Pierre, I know you'll stay on the case. Thank you.
Again, I don't know, what kind of police state it is that you want to live in. But if you're down with cops giving people injections in the street, oh man, I've never seen that before. We've watched a lot of these videos. We've watched people get killed. We watched them close up. We watched them for minutes and minutes and minutes. And I've never seen anybody I've never seen a cop give somebody an injection before. That's some seriously scary shit to me, man. If you think that's what, if you somehow see that as okay, I am really worried about the future of this country, and I think I'm not the only one. But I've never seen that before, and to me it's shocking, right? To me, seeing the police inject someone with something when they got him on the ground, and they inject someone with something, I don't know how that can possibly be legal, right? And then he dies, and they said it was ketamine, but I mean, and then they said, and then the original investigation found that the police did nothing wrong. Okay, that's the police state. That's the country. That's the police state that you're siding with if you're not siding with the people in the street, because the people in the street can't deal with this anymore. I don't know how anyone can. I don't know how anyone could possibly want to continue. Lovely, lovely, say that you love me. Do me, do me. All right, so let's see. And in the bottom square down here, in the middle, is Seattle Police Station. And we watched the protesters wind up on the front steps of the Seattle Police Department the last 3 nights, which is a very good place for them to be. And they go right up to the front door. And they usually, the first night they were making chalk drawings. Last night it looked like they were giving speeches, and I'm not sure what all else they were doing. They had a lot more signs, it seemed like, last night. They were trying to make sure it got seen. And tonight, I'm not sure how many people are there. It looked like there was quite a few people there a minute ago. But I think this is an excellent spot for them to wind up and give speeches and a kind of a gathering spot. The steps of the police station. Okay, that way, if you're looking for us, you know where to find us, right? Because, and that's, again, not being afraid of the police state. That's standing up to a comply or die police state. That normally, if somebody was hanging out in the front door of the police department, you'd probably get asked, hey, what's happening? What's going on? So, But I have not seen that ask of these people. Which is unfortunate, because the cops should simply come out and go, hey, what's going on? But not with batons and helmets and shields and stuff. Just like in their little shorts. See how cops love wearing their shorts. So, Portland has quite a few people going on their walkabout this evening. It seemed to go a little early this evening, I thought. Maybe because they don't have a stage set up or something. They've had a stage set up quite a few other nights. Okay, so everything is chill in the CHOP. And then that's the Seattle Police Department downtown, where the protesters have wound up the last 3 nights. I'm not sure where they're at in New York, but it looks like it might be the steps of a police department across the street, or a courthouse or something. But again, I have a couple other videos that I wanted to share with you guys. One is about... well, do you guys want to see the Israeli weapon system thing? Poland's buying an anti-tank weapon system. But if you read the description, if you actually read the details, it's not an anti-tank thing. It's an anti-personnel carrier, which means it hits cars, it hits fucking buildings, it hits where you tell it to hit it. It's just a tank is kind of basically explaining the accuracy of it. We can hit a tank, no problem. And Poland is moving that in. And I am quite sure Russia does not care for that. Which is too bad. I mean, it's just this never-ending war. Like, we don't have anything better to spend money on than fucking weapons that are going to kill people. Because that's what really matters. And the only reason that they spend weapons, they make weapons, the only reason they make all these weapons is because somebody's making money off of it. If somebody wasn't making money hand over fist off of every single one of these weapon systems, they would not even begin to be built. They would be completely unnecessary. But because someone's making billions and billions and billions of dollars, this is the hot item that you really have to have. You really need to have this anti-personnel missile system from Israel right now in your backyard.
Gears now to the Israeli military sphere. It's called the NLOS, or Spike Anti-Tank Missile System, and it's one of the latest products developed by Israel's weapons manufacturer Rafael, and it's finding buyers abroad, including in Europe. Here's more in my report on the new Rafael agreement with Poland. The Israeli Tammuz anti-tank missile launcher is making its way to Poland, a product of Rafael Industries, which has been co-produced by Polish weapons manufacturers, is expected to be integrated into the Polish Armed Forces weapons arsenal. Also known as the Spike NLOS, the long-range anti-tank system has been incorporated into militaries around the world, including those belonging to NATO members. It can be adapted to wield armored personnel carriers and to tracked tanks. The Polish military is expected to adapt the Spike NLOS to both APCs and infantry fighting vehicles as part of its tank destroyer program. According to Rafael, a battery of this anti-tank missile system can take out an enemy tank battalion in minutes due to its ability to simultaneously launch missiles from several cannons. The U.S. military even tested it out recently from an Apache helicopter. For Israel and the IDF, the Spike family features an array of missile systems that have extended use. The Spike NLOS is a joint production with the Polish PGZ Group and Rafael Advanced Defense Systems.
Right, so those targets, they didn't look all like tanks, right? They showed it hitting like a bunker, and they showed it hitting a car, like a normal Ford automobile, a four-door. So that's clearly not an anti-tank missile system. It's an anti-personnel carrier missile system, is probably more properly put. So we're clear. They're not going to be targeting just tanks with it if they use it the way it is intended. So, and I thought that was interesting. What's fucking Poland got on their mind? Just giving away their citizens' treasure? Or something more nefarious? Because that is not a defensive system. So we're clear. That is in no way a defensive missile system. And again, once tonight we've seen marching in the street, we've seen dancing in the street, well, it was down by the lake, and other things for the eye to behold. But you know, it's this thing, this idea that these people are criminal, evil, you know, whatever, is just programming. Is this, you know, it's this left-right thing that keeps the people that are standing up against an over-intrusive police state government, because they're not standing up against the right and they're not standing up against the left. And I know that everything that's being told to you boils it down that way, but that's not true. They're standing up to this government, which is left-right. It has both of them, and they're saying this, what you've been doing is unacceptable. Okay? We deserve better than what you've been giving us. Okay? We're not going to continue to live this way. And they're not speaking to the right. And somehow you're buying into this thing where it's like, oh, they're you know, blah, blah, you know, all about the election. Really? Not about some kid on the ground, completely under control, being injected by police with God knows what. It's not about that at all. It's not in any way, shape, or form about that. Hey, how's my beautiful girl? There's my girl. What a pretty girl you are. You are such a pretty girl. She's upset I didn't take her for a walkie today. maybe we can get out of here early and we'll go for a walkie. Go for a walkie? My little girl. My little girl want to go for a walkie? Yeah, I know. Yeah, hopefully we can get out of here early and go for a walkie, and it will be chill. But I have another video play for you about a sheriff saying that they don't intend to enforce the mandatory mask rule order by the governor of Washington State. And I don't think this is the last sheriff we're going to be hearing from. So I wanted you guys to see that. Again, and I don't know if this is the same sheriff, but yesterday there was a sheriff who said, it's Americans' right to question authority. It's a proud American tradition to question authority. So the sheriffs speaking out are, again, they're seeing out of control power run amok. Petty tyrants trying to seize as much power as they can and instill as much fear as they can onto the public. So it's good that they might be standing up for the people, I think, for freedom, because we don't want petty tyrants who believe that they can seize power and they can just make proclamations, and somehow then that becomes the law and is going to be enforced by the police state, right? This is what it's all about, not buying into the police state. Not giving over the power, your freedom, your personal freedom to the police state. I showed you yesterday the sheriff, he said, don't be sheep. And then this one today is saying that they're not going to enforce that order. So you guys can hear. I thought you'd want to know that.
Well, developing tonight, Washington's statewide mask mandate goes into effect tomorrow. But tonight, the sheriff of Yakima County says he won't enforce it. Sheriff Robert Udell says his deputies will not stop, cite, or arrest people caught in public without a face covering. He goes on to say, quote, I believe the government's role is to suggest and persuade people towards safe practices, not to use force to change behaviors. Yakima is one of the hardest hit counties in the state, with more than 6,700 confirmed COVID-19 cases and 132 deaths. Meantime, America has set a new record yesterday. State health departments across the country reported over 38,000 new cases of coronavirus.
Yeah, our previous record for a single day was 34,000 back in April, but it's not just the national numbers health experts are worried about. California saw a 69% increase in cases over the course of just 2 days this week, reporting over 7,000 new cases just on Tuesday. In Arizona, 84% of ICU beds are now filled. And then in Texas, that number is closer to 100.
You get into an emergency capacity, which is pull out all the stops, use all the space. That is not sustainable for more than a couple of weeks.
Texas Governor Greg Abbott signed an executive order today to increase ICU capacity, and he's put a pause on any further reopening, but he rejected the idea of moving backwards in order to curb the outbreak.
There's a huge spike in positive cases in Florida, and that's causing concern for the return of professional sports. The Orlando Pride dropped out of the National Women's Soccer League tournament after 6 players and 4 staffers tested positive. That tournament is set to begin on Saturday in Utah. The Tampa Bay Lightning and Tampa Bay Buccaneers have had several players test positive. The spike in Florida could also ruin the planned restart for the NBA and MLS seasons, which are set to begin in a tightly controlled setting at Disney World Resort in Orlando starting July 7th.
In our state, the Washington National Guard has been called in to help with COVID-19 testing at the Coyote Ridge Correction Center, where another inmate has just died from the virus. 72-year-old William Bryant died from the virus on Monday, making him the second inmate to die from COVID at Coyote Ridge. The facility in Connell is dealing with a large outbreak. At least 110 inmates have tested positive for the virus. That's a sharp jump from the 91 positive tests just 6 days ago. 43 staff members have also tested positive.
Well, state health officials have confirmed just short of 30,000 total cases of COVID since the virus first began spreading here in the late winter. And even with an outbreak still concerning experts in Yakima County, the rest of the state hopes to stay on track to reopen. So here's a closer look at where every county stands at this point. The green means phase 3 and gatherings up to 50 people, along with other loosened restrictions. Thurston County became the most recent to join phase 3 yesterday. But tonight, leaders in a neighboring county are fearing a slide backward in that process, with 35 new cases announced today in Pierce County. That makes 312 confirmed reports in the last 2 weeks alone. Q13's Frankie Thompson joins us live in Tacoma for a closer look at that uptick. Frankie?
Jamie, county health officials say a surge of new cases is seen in young people, those who are going back to work, out socializing, and just not staying at home. They say the biggest issue they're continuing to address, not enough people are wearing their masks.
Do you want some free hand sanitizer?
As soon as you walk into the Tacoma Farmers Market, you're greeted with free hand sanitizer. But in order to get in, first things first, masks are required. But some people still refuse to follow the rule.
What is it going to hurt you to wash your hands a bit more or put a mask on? If it's protecting others, if it's protecting yourself, it's not going to hurt anyone. So just do it, just in case.
More people are able to enjoy the market because Pierce County is in phase 2 of the Safe Start Washington plan. But county officials are now worried gatherings like this and other places will have restrictions again as they're seeing another increase in COVID-19 cases.
It's a fear of ours to have to go backwards. You know, we want to make sure we can continue to open up and move forward for our daycares, for our jobs to be able to function.
The state rule allows counties to move to the next phase if there are less than 25 reported cases per 100,000 people during a 14-day period. The Tacoma Pierce County Health Department says it's seeing 35 cases.
We're seeing them in more young people. We're seeing small outbreaks in businesses. So what it's saying to us is people are getting out. They're moving around.
Pierce County Health Department Director Dr. Anthony Chen says a big part of the uptick in cases is not enough people are covering their face.
It's something we have to do together, right? I mean, I do a little bit, you do a little bit, all adds up and helps us move forward. But if we all slack off or, we're just tired of it and don't want to do it, then, we're seeing that we're slipping on this.
To get a grip on flattening the curve once again, market vendors and visitors are doing their part to promote healthy habits.
It's important for all of us to do our part in making sure we're practicing safe distancing and that we're taking care of our precautions, the things that we can control to be safe.
I really hope things get back to normal soon, but if this is our new normal, then let's make the most of it.
Now, Pierce County is eligible in the next few days to apply for phase 3, but the county health director says they're just not ready because they continue to see new cases just about every day. But he says it's going to be up to everyone to do their part in protecting this community. Reporting live in Tacoma, Frankie Thompson, Q13 News.
All right, Frankie, thank you. Meanwhile, the road to phase 3 is proving...
All right, I had enough of that. So, let's see, I wanted to point out that I have another video where they're talking about masks. I believe I have another video. It's one where they're saying the governors are making travelers to their state self-quarantine for 2 weeks. But I believe in that video, they're comparing wearing a face mask to wearing a condom. And some other ridiculous fucking contact, comparison. So I was really surprised by that. But I have that video coming up also, and then have a video about the bus drivers in Seattle having some kind of a hate display set up near a flagpole near their headquarters, at their headquarters, I believe. Hello, caller.
What's up, Max the Fox with the big old cocks?
Thanks. What are you doing?
Nothing much. Just paying attention, watching your show.
Nice. Are you What's on your mind?
Nothing much. I saw one of your clips earlier about the Israeli stuff.
Yeah.
Annexation. It just the Israeli news had a little slant to it. They had their own little bend to it, and obviously a little bit biased. So.
Yeah. I bet it's hard to find other news about it. It doesn't seem like a whole lot of news outlets are talking about it.
Yep. That's it. The only ones that are going to talk about it are the ones that are in favor of the Israelis. So that's no surprise.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't think there's really like a Palestinian news network. They probably get shut down.
Well, you'd think the BBC or some people like that would be like, we probably have a lot of viewers that would be interested in this, right?
Yeah, well, they wouldn't. You'd think they'd be on the side of the Palestinians and they would be against the Israelis for the press versus the oppressor little narrative. But obviously, they have, when it comes to that situation, it's the only situation where they're not, I don't know, with the usual agenda. That the boogeyman versus the victim. How convenient.
Well, I'm really surprised that there's not other people covering it, other news stations spending at least a little more time discussing it, because it seems like a pretty big event that's, that if you look at the world leaders, they're saying that they don't support it. So I don't know. I don't know why the news wouldn't be covering it. It just, I guess it's too, it just doesn't, I guess because of who controls the news, I guess that's what it is. They don't really want people knowing and talking about this story is what I'm getting at.
Oh yeah, we're talking about modern day colonization, modern day genocide, but the people who own the news maybe have a little genetic connection to Israel, but you can't talk about that, otherwise you're a really meanie bad guy.
You're a hater.
Yeah. Because you're right, it should be the biggest story in the world.
Yeah,
honestly.
I posted the story today that the Hamas, which is basically the leadership in Gaza and the West Bank, says it's the plan, the announcement of the plan to annex the West Bank is a declaration of war, and that sounds right to me.
Oh, absolutely. They're literally bulldozing homes and putting up settlements, ethnically cleansing Palestinian homes. So it's not only an act of war, it's a war crime.
I agree with that too. And it's been going on far too long. And then there's about this shift into overdrive, and I'm really afraid it's gonna get hot there, and they're gonna just bulldoze Palestine into the fucking sea, and that'll be the end of it.
Yeah, that's what it seems like it's coming to, because the powers that be really aren't challenging them.
Yeah.
They're just letting them get away with whatever they want. And as long as everyone's focused on statues and whatever else, then they're just doing whatever they want. Normally, I think maybe there's a little cover-up. Maybe there's a cover-up going on so they can get away with it. Maybe that's a conspiracy theory. I don't know. Although I don't think it really would matter, even if there wasn't.
Yeah.
What are you going to do, though?
Well, keep moving forward. That's what I keep doing.
Yeah, keep moving forward, and at least you're bringing light to it. You're one of the few that's actually covering it.
Yeah, well, it's important. I keep waiting to hear something that matters, that we can get some kind of actual. It's like they just talk around the whole thing, and it's like you're saying, it's all from one side, so it's really hard to find something that's not over the top biased. But I'm keeping my ears open.
Thanks, appreciate it, Mark. I'll call in another time.
All right, Kevin. Good to hear from you.
Okay,
Okay, so I think Kevin's from Chicago. Let's see. So again, what we have here in Seattle is the protesters on the steps of the downtown Seattle police station, and then on the right, it's all up in the Capitol Hill Occupy protest area. That's what those videos are. Those are the ones I'm covering basically. There's nothing going on there. It's very quiet. They're trying to decide what to do. It sounds like a lot of the campers have moved out of the park, and that they have moved their tents onto the other side of the barrier, in close to where the police station, right next to the police station. So, and they say that they're not going anywhere. So, like I said, they're not going anywhere. The protest in Seattle is not going anywhere. The protest in Portland is not going anywhere. And it's everywhere else, too. So, you know, again, it's the divide. You know, recognize the fear, recognize the divide programming. Because if we buy into the divide programming, they win every time. But the protest video from Seattle today has been absolutely lovely down by the lake in Lake Union, which is there's large bodies of water that surround Seattle. It's absolutely gorgeous, and they had a nice rally down by the lake, which was very interesting to watch. And Seattle is always very interesting to watch. Actually, it has always been interesting, to say the least. At least for me. And it looks like the crowd in Portland continues to grow, which is awesome. They march down the street and people join them as they're marching down the street. Are you guys going for a walkabout? Can we come too? Sure, come on, let's go. I love that. And it looks like there's quite a few people there in New York also. So, let's see. I have the video again about the, I think on this video, they compare the use of a face mask to the use of condoms. So, which I found horrible. Because I hate both. But it's interesting that they're gonna. I think this is in this video. I wanted you to see it because you're gonna see it's a whole bunch of different comparisons to what it's like having a face mask on and having, you know, protected sex. Because that makes sense in everybody's mind. Anyone can understand the basics of that, right? So let's look and see if that's what they actually talk about on this video. I'm not sure if this one has that or not, but it's about the wearing of masks.
Governors from New York, New Jersey, and Connecticut announced Wednesday they've issued a joint travel advisory. They're requiring people traveling from states with, quote, significant community spread of COVID-19 to quarantine for 14 days. The travel advisory goes into effect at midnight Wednesday, according to New York Governor Andrew Cuomo. The advisory applies to people arriving from a state with a positive test rate higher than 10 per 100,000 residents over a 7-day rolling average, or a state with a 10% or higher positivity rate over a 7-day rolling average. That includes Texas, Florida, and Arizona. Florida has done something similar. In late March, the state required travelers from the New York area to quarantine. At the time, New York had the most reported coronavirus cases in the country, specifically New York City. Daily deaths there peaked on April 7th, according to data from the city's health department, and have been declining ever since.
We went from the highest cases, the highest viral transmission rate, to some of the lowest rates in the country. No one else had to accomplish as much as we had to accomplish in such a short period of time. No one else had to bend the curve as much as we had to bend the curve.
Cuomo said the travel advisory will be enforced, but that it's up to each state to decide how. In New York, a person that violates the travel advisory could be fined thousands of dollars. For Newsy, I'm Stephanie Sandoval.
That did not have that on there, what I was expecting. In Columbus here, it looks like an EMT, I believe it's an EMT, just pulled up to the protesters right here. And that's a cop car. I thought the other one was an ambulance. No, that's a cop car too. Okay, so there's just a couple of protesters on the corner here. And the cops look like a little bit on the aggro side. So we will keep an eye on that for a minute. And also we have the Portland protesters. The sun's going down in Portland. The crowd is definitely growing there. And as I said it would. It gets hot in Portland. So when the sun goes down, it becomes very comfortable. Let's see. And they look like they're having a lovely little walkabout in Portland. In Seattle here, what you're seeing is, again, this is the steps of the Seattle Downtown Police Department, which is, in my opinion, the best place to protest, except for it's not very big. The steps, you could only fit so many people and blah, blah, blah. But they have quite a few people there. The last 3 nights they've been there. Let's see what's happening here in Columbus. Keep an eye on this. Cops are looking. Everyone, the world is watching. The world is watching. This is an excellent chant you guys need to start when the cops start to act aggro. The world is watching. The world is watching, because it's the truth. And that needs to get into their head. So what they do, they just rush in and scare the shit out of everybody and then rush out. Look, the big scary cops are coming to get you. The big scary cops are coming to get you. Are you sure this is what you want to be doing? Are you sure? Is this how you want to ruin your life? The big scary cops are coming to get you. Okay, we're just going to go away now. And this is how this terrifying thing it happens in America every day, everywhere. People, they see those lights and their heart jumps up to 150 beats a minute. And they worry about their lives being taken away. Whether it through, fines or just, getting something on your record or some cop literally having a horrible day and needing somebody to take it out on, right? Because we've all seen that happen. Sandra Bland, lost her life because she didn't use her turn signal, and the cop threw her in jail, and supposedly she hung herself after being in jail for 3 days for not using a turn signal. Because they can. That's why. That's what they do. It's who they are. It's who they've always been. It's unfortunate. Again, it's not what anyone wants. Every black mother in America wishes she could tell her sons and daughters, the cops are the good guys. Run to the cops. But they can't. They can't tell them that. But they wish they could with all their heart. Probably there's a lot of black mothers who wish nothing more than that. And you would think the cops would want that too. You think the cops would want mothers telling their children that they are the good guys. But they can't tell their children that, can they? Because we have to have our hands up and constantly be begging not to be shot. Hands up, don't shoot. Please don't shoot us. When you see the protesters walking with their hands up, that's what they're saying, basically. They're saying, please don't shoot us. Please don't shoot us. Because that's what keeps happening. It happens over and over. And it doesn't even... Elijah, who we just saw, he didn't get shot. He just got squashed and then shot, injected with something. They said it was ketamine, but, you think it's okay for cops to inject something into you out on the street or anywhere else? You think it's okay for cops to do that? I don't want cops doing that. I don't want cops doing that with anything, anywhere. No. That's the most crazy shit I've ever seen in this police state, where I've seen incredibly crazy shit. Seen police drop a flashbang grenade in the crib of an 18-month-old. I've seen police shoot an 8-year-old girl in the face in Detroit and say that they thought she had a gun. And they were in the wrong house. But I ain't never seen no shit like no police injecting people on the street with a syringe. I never seen that before. Telling you, I've seen a lot of shit. Saw Tamir Rice die less than 2 seconds after the police jumped out of their police car. And Tamir, 12-year-old Tamir Rice, playing in the park, gunned down by the cops. Right? So, and so many other people. The list goes on and on and on. And if you don't think that we can do better than that, if you think it's okay to have cops, to see cops injecting somebody with a syringe on the streets, if that doesn't bother you, I don't know if anything ever will. The kid died after they injected him. So, he was bringing his brother an iced tea back from the store. And apologizing to the cops the whole time while they were murdering him. Trying to explain to the cops that he's a good kid. I don't do that stuff. That video really breaks me up, man. Alright, so if anybody wants to call, the number is 805-669-6397. Otherwise, I have 2 videos left. I have 2 videos left that you have not seen yet. And a couple that you have seen already. So, since everything looks pretty chill, Columbus, I didn't know. I wanted to make sure what was going on in there. Columbus is. Did you see the cops? They just all rushed in to where these protesters were on the street, like to scare the shit out of people. Let's go scare the fuck out of these guys, and then they all turn around and drive away, right? Because they can, because it's our police state. The cops actually believe they own the streets, so we're clear. Okay, so, and I have this video from Seattle Metro bus drivers about what they want to be labeled as a hate crime and more protection. So, and again, it's horrible that people have to feel this way, you know?
New surveillance video shows two people stealing pride flags from publicly owned light poles in downtown Burien. 37 of the 40 flags put up by the group Discover Burien were stolen late Monday night or early Tuesday morning. Police are reviewing this and other surveillance footage to identify the thieves. If you know anything, call Burien Police.
This afternoon, a group of transit workers were demanding an end to racism at Metro King County. The Organized Workers for Labor Solidarity gathered at the South Base complex in Tukwila in response to what they call a Ku Klux Klan-style death threat. Earlier this month, an employee found a black figurine near a flagpole at King County Metro's South Facilities maintenance building near what they say resembles a noose. The group says the incident is the latest in a line of racial harassment.
Whether they want to call it a prank, whether it was a joke, whatever they want to call it, it's a hate crime. No one here sees that any differently.
King County Metro says an investigation is underway with Metro's Equal Employment Opportunity, Equity, and Inclusion team.
Tonight, workers at a Trader Joe's in Seattle's Capitol Hill neighborhood are making demands following the abrupt closure of their store earlier this month. This afternoon, they protested outside the store, which closed on June 12th after employees were given permission to leave early to participate in a Black Lives Matter march. Well, the store has been closed since. The store is reopening July 1st, but employees have a list of demands to go with the reopening.
We know that the tipping point in the decision to close Store 130 was broad crew participation in Black Lives Matter actions. Trader Joe's needs to apologize to Black crew members and customers for failing to acknowledge that Black Lives Matter.
Earlier this month, a spokesperson for Trader Joe's said the store closed for remodeling work.
Okay, so in the upper, excuse me, in the middle square there, what you see is the downtown Seattle Police Precinct. It has many protesters outside. The last 3 nights, in fact, the protesters have gone to this spot in Seattle. So it is interesting. I think it's the perfect spot. And I hope that that protest grows and grows and grows, because it is exactly the proper spot. If not, you know, the mayor's house or whatever, because, you know, or the police chief's home, because it just got to stop, you know. And these people have to understand, well, we have to be able to feel safe in the streets too, not just them, you know. Especially since they're supposed to be there to make us feel safe. And it doesn't seem like that's the effect that they have. So if anybody wants to call, I have one video left about a giant dust cloud that's that's going to be over the United States, a large portion of the United States. I guess it actually is already over a large portion of the United States, and is going to just go for the next few days. And it looks like it could be pretty nasty for people who might be already suffering from some kind of a lung condition. So, it's just one thing. This gonna get you. It's life. Life. You're soaking in it. There's just no avoiding it. It's everywhere. You're soaking in it, baby. All right, so, and again, I do really like the protest in Seattle winding up in this particular spot. It is an excellent spot, and the first night they were there, we were watching them draw the chalk drawings, which I guess a lot of them are still there, which is super cool. And then the last couple of nights they've been doing something similar to this, giving speeches, megaphone speeches and such. Having a protest, you know, letting their voices be heard, which is awesome. I'm so glad. And then in Portland, there is a lot of people going for a walkabout, which has been happening night after night in Portland for the last few weeks. And again, I'm so glad to see that these people are not being brutalized, because they don't need to be brutalized. Just because they're saying something the police don't want to hear doesn't mean that that should give the police the right to hurt them, to subject them to injury and police detention, whatever it is they can get on you. It's just, and again, it's just young people, and they're just not willing to live the rest of their lives cowering in fear from this out of control, comply or die police state, is what I see. So, I have one more video about, well, we should play this video real quick.
Sometimes life can be a little overwhelming. Sometimes the weight of the world can be too much to bear. Sometimes you need to stop worrying and take a deep breath. Sometimes you need cannabis. Introducing Brightside, high-quality cannabis delivered right to your door. Brightside offers an extensive menu of strains and products to meet your needs. Choose the experience you want, and we'll send you the dankest herb, the real sticky icky, some top-shelf marijuana. If you like what we send you, keep the whole jar. We'll even include some nugs for you to blaze. As part of Discovery, you'll get to try new strains and products. Side effects may include euphoria, increased appetite, uncontrollable giggles, elevated sensitivity to musical dopeness, and reduced anxiety. Tetrahydrocannabinol may also induce feelings of existential well-being and relentless optimism. With a Brightside subscription, you can get it once a month, once a week, or whenever you want, all at a price you'll like. And yes, this is a real company.
Do you know who I am? You're the wizard.
Ask your doctor if cannabis is right for you. It probably is. Keep it Brightside.
And again, I will play that video forever because I believe it just spells out a step-by-step process to a relaxed, happy life. And even more than that, a healthy life. If there is, as I keep saying, an epidemic of dementia and Alzheimer's and cancer, and the primary reason is because of lack of cannabinoids, because of the cannabinoid system goes throughout the body. I mean, we've all seen the videos of the cancer patient who tried everything and then out of desperation, after every other avenue was exhausted, they turned to cannabis, and then their cancer goes away, right? And I always think, it's too bad you waited until you got the cancer to start eating the cannabis. Right? It's too bad that you started, you waited until you're having this experiences of dementia, of Alzheimer's, because cannabis is so incredibly powerful. We actually had a caller in the last few days talk about how when this person who gives her one of its caregiver patients a cookie, and she's suffering from dementia or Alzheimer's. I forget which one they said. It's just like it's like a switch goes on in their brain. And just imagine if she could have got that before the dementia ever hit. It would have been this thing that helps to fight all the free radicals in the world, in the water, in the air, in all the things that we eat. In our clothing, all this free radicals that are like carcinogens and very negative for human biology. The cannabis helps to fight against that stuff. So it's again, you're not eating enough cannabis. We hear people again and again call this show and say, I kept hearing you say you're not eating enough cannabis, and I thought, well, maybe he's right. And they call, and then they call to say, you were right. So please, just listen. You're not eating enough cannabis. and know that it has nothing to do with me or my life, whether you eat more cannabis or not. It never has, and it never will. I eat plenty of cannabis, and fingers crossed, I will until the day I die. Okay, so I have a video. Let's see. Again, this is the steps of the Seattle Police Department here, where these protesters have ended up each and every night for the last 3 nights at least. In Portland, I'm not sure exactly where they are this evening, but that's a pretty darn good crowd there in Portland. In New York, it looks like they have assembled quite a crew. Hopefully the New York cops will stay calm, because that is the key to keeping the crowds calm. But I have one more video. I think I'm just going to play this video for you guys, and pretty much we'll come back and take another look here. But pretty much, if there's no callers, we're going to call it a night, because I want to get the dogs a walk still. They didn't get a walk yet today because I had other things I had to take care of. So I want to make that happen before it gets too late, and I don't want to make it happen anymore. Not that I don't want to make it happen anytime. It's just a matter of, because any time is a good time for a doggy walk. That's the fact, Jack. So everything looks calm everywhere. I'm really glad to see New York looking very, very calm, because the cops in New York are just long, well-known fucking, harassers and just horrible human beings who brutalize the citizens that sign their paychecks, and liars and so many other awful, awful things. And that's New York right below me in the bottom right-hand corner. It looks like they have definitely assembled quite a little audience there. It is awesome to see, New York. Excellent job, my brothers and sisters. Is that a cop? Is that a cop in the Seattle area, in the Seattle steps right there? No, that must not be a cop. He's applauding. I don't think that's a cop. I thought it might be because he's all dressed in blue. But yeah, that's the steps of the Seattle Police Station. I'm not sure. Wow, that's a pretty good fucking crowd they got there in New York. Loving it, New York. Excellent work. So, in case you missed it last night, again, in Columbus, the protesters, there was a police line, and the protesters were taunting the cops. They were like, "Come on, big man!" And a guy comes out with this big old gun, like, "Oh, you got a big gun now, huh? I'm gonna be big." And there's like, the guys are like, "Here, let me make it so the way you're used to it." And he turns around, he's like showing his back to him. He's like pretending to run away. "Here, does that make you more comfortable?" Like. It was hilarious. Those guys were awesome last night in Columbus. And then the cops wound up, it looked like they moved in and they scooped up, they said, one little 5-foot tall girl who was actually the organizer of the protest. So, and that's the way that the cops have a tendency to work. We know how to break this shit up. Make you pay. We'll make you pay. All right, so I have another video about a dust cloud that is going to be covering many of these people over the next few days. Not Seattle, not Portland, but a lot of other places. Wherever else you might be, there's this giant dust cloud that is headed for a large part of the United States, and it's going to get you. There's no hiding from dust. Dust is everywhere. There's little particles floating, and you know what else is floating on those particles? Fear, 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 fear. So I thought you should know about that.
We're going to turn now to that massive dust cloud moving in over the U.S. There is concern over asthma and respiratory conditions, and Chief Meteorologist Ginger Zee with the track.
The hazy sky today over New Orleans. That's not fog, it's dust. And it's coming from the Sahara in Africa, all the way to the U.S.
Look how foggy it is. It's sand.
Puerto Rico went from those brilliant blue skies to this when the dust moved in. Barbados, you could barely see the sun. In Mexico, the sky overtaken by brown. It's called the Saharan air layer, and it travels over the Atlantic Ocean every year. But this year, it's covering about 3,500 miles, the most expansive we've seen since the 1970s. For most, that'll just mean more brilliant sunrises and sunsets. But for those with breathing issues like asthma, this is a weekend you'll want to watch out.
And I should clarify that this is not going to look like a haboob or a classic dust storm, but it is going to move from south to north. You can see the states being impacted there through the weekend. It hangs out about 5,000 to 20,000 feet up. David.
All right, Ginger, great to see you.
So the people out in front of the police station in downtown Seattle, the police department, are getting pretty worked up. They are getting pretty worked up outside the police department in downtown Seattle, which is interesting. It's not new, but it's interesting. They are dancing funky dances. We cannot have people dancing funky dances on the police station steps. That is just not acceptable. Come on, people. What country do you think this is? This is a land of laws and order, right? These people are fully coloring outside the fucking lines. We are not going to allow that any longer. So I can't tell, but I think that you see the painting that's on the window there, right? So like it's at eye level, right? So I'm not sure, but what I'm seeing is that there's the bars that separate the windows. They don't seem to have any paint on them, which would imply, see how between the doors there's no paint. You know, it's like you would think that if the protesters, if the paint was being done on the outside, right, that they would go across the metal also, right? So I am just, thinking that paint on the windows may have been done by the Seattle police from the inside. Because, again, I don't see any of the paint. Well, maybe a little bit. But I don't really see the paint going across the metal. Maybe it is, a little bit. Okay. So, that's all the videos that I have for you tonight. I got them all. Well, we got the fucking tiger video. We got Don Lemon and Bill Maher on how they feel about defunding the police. They think it's fucking stupid. Which means they want the drug war to go on forever. Bill Maher is not who he pretends to be, okay? They want, and neither is Don Lemon. Don Lemon literally is like, when I call the police, I want the police to come. I'm on the side of the police. Bill Maher, of defunding the police, ending the drug war. He might pretend like he wants the drug war ended, but if he did, wouldn't that be like the number one giant way to end the fucking, defund the police? We end the fucking drug war and then boom, we don't need all this policing anymore, do we? Right? So, that makes sense to me, but not to Bill Maher. Who, probably likes to believe that he's a very smart, very logical guy. I'll play that video for you. It's right here. Watch.
The New York Times has cleared up any confusion on what defund the police means. The editorial page says they want to abolish police. In a related story, liberal HBO host and longtime political commentator Bill Maher said on his show on Friday night that the, quote, defund the police motto is, quote, blanking stupid. He used the F word. Still to come.
You know, we got to do better than this.
Well, I'm out of time, and we're going to continue to talk about this because I just had a conversation about what it actually means to defund the police department. You know, is there a better term? Some people are asking, because when they hear defund the police, they're thinking that means dismantle police departments. And I got to tell you, it is a very strong argument for people who may not agree with what you're saying. And even for people who do agree with what you're saying, when you say, again, defund the police, people think it's dismantling a police department. I certainly want, if someone is in my house or if I have an issue at my home or there's a burglar or anything like that, I want a police officer to come. And so, you know, just give that food for thought, okay?
Absolutely.
I got to run.
Yeah.
I want the police to come. I do. And that's, again, Don Lemon expressing whose side he's on. He's on the side of the police. We don't want to defund the police. We don't want to end the drug war. They see your personal freedom as a threat to them. And it probably is. Because, you know, the police state is what allows these people to get away with their endless crimes. You know, they're lying incessantly to the public. You know, they're ruining the economy. They're, you know, never, you know, once questioning the facts on the way to war with Iraq, you know, costing us trillions of dollars, all based on lies. How many soldiers' lives have been ruined? How many innocent Iraqis murdered, right? And that's who this media is. Definitely part of the police state. Okay, so I'm pretty sure nothing's going to happen in Seattle. I'm not sure where they're at in Portland there, but the Portland cops have backed way the fuck off from their aggro stance that they were having last week, where they were shooting protesters with rubber bullets and flashbang grenades and tear gas. Last week they cut out the tear gas, and then slowly everything else dissipated down to, we really don't have to do this. Because you really don't have to brutalize the people. You really don't have to brutalize the citizens you claim to serve. You choose to do so as a group. That's what you choose. Those are the powers you don't want to give up. The ability to brutalize these people whenever you see fit. And these people aren't going to stand for it any longer. So you know. Okay, so I have played all my videos. We have watched closely what's going on again in Seattle, in Portland, in New York City. It's really good to see again people in the streets and expressing their constitutional freedoms. And my constitutional freedom says I got to get my doggies out for a walkie, because that girl will not poop in the backyard. And she needs a poopy. So we're going to make that happen in the next few minutes here. So I really appreciate you guys tuning in. We do this every Monday through Friday at 7 p.m. Pacific time, which means we will be back tomorrow night, same Mox time, same Mox channel. So be sure and subscribe and hit the notification bell. That way you won't miss out on any of the video updates or any upcoming live streams. Thanks to all the callers, and we look forward to seeing you tomorrow night. Same Mox time, same Mox channel. Until then, stay cool, because one of these days this war is going to end, and hopefully these people in the streets will have a lot to do with making that happen.
No matter which mouth you feed on a two-headed snake, it still shits the same turd. But lucky for you, you have Mox News. More than 10 years. More than 60,000 videos. Mox News has been filtering the nonsense and illuminating the bullshit from your mainstream media. Turn off your TV and turn on to Mox News. For over a decade, documenting the socio-political events that have etched and carved the pathways that define today's modern mess, Mox News has been providing clarity while faithfully bringing you today's relevant stories 100% commercial-free and subscription-free. And just like Lady Liberty vows to remain free. But at this time, we're asking you for your help, your patronage, and your support to keep the lights on and the videos rolling. For less than 17 cents per day, you can become a basic subscriber, knowing that your donation is truly making a difference that will help continue bringing the news stories that make a difference in your life. Turn on, tune in, and drop a couple dimes today by clicking the link below or visiting moxnews.com and show your support at any level. From a single one-time donation or dedicated monthly subscriber, do it now in less than 2 minutes. All donations are safe, securely processed, and verified using PayPal, Visa, MasterCard, American Express, or Discover Card. As always, we're sure you'll find something of interest each and every day. This holiday season, give the gift of Mox. moxnews.com.
Hey, I just want to show you guys, there is a lot of people in Portland, a lot of people, and I just want to make clear, you know, what these people are doing. They're explaining that the streets belong to the people, and at any time, anywhere, we can shut it down. We have the power. This is what I keep saying. We can shut anything down anywhere. And that's what the people, the protesters in Portland are explaining night after night. And I really appreciate it. It's a great job, Portland. Keep up the great work, all right?